This is going to be a full-timed walkthrough of Bluebook SAT Practice Test 6. I haven't taken this test in over a year, like well over a year, so I shouldn't remember the questions that much or at all. This would be pretty close to just my first time taking the test, pretty much. So what I recommend you doing, just like all of the walkthroughs, is do the test with me, pause the video right before I solve a question, and then solve the question yourself, then unpause the video and see how I solved it, and look at the differences between how you solved it and how I solved it, and that can help you tweak your processes to solve the question, because you realize, oh, I did this thing differently. Why did I do that differently? Oh, it helped me solve this question faster because I did this instead. And then you can try adopting that, and you can improve in real time as you do this with me. Now, I will put in the video, there'll be chapters that will show you like when each module starts. And if I miss any questions or get them wrong, I also like put the timestamps for like, when I go over those questions at the end of the video too. Hopefully I don't get any questions wrong. Now, previous practice test, practice 5, I didn't do that well. I got a 1560, which isn't that well in my standards. And it's because I started running out of time. And I have a really bad habit, which I think everyone does, of just gaslighting yourself that you actually understood something even though you didn't. So I would think I understood something. When I go to answer choices, I didn't understand that well. And I need to prevent myself from doing that by making sure I actually understand something, like fully understand it before I move on to the next thing. That's going to be my sole focus for this test, is just fully understanding every 3-ish words before I move on to the next 3 words. I'm going to make sure I understand everything. Okay, and fully understand, because I want to like make this more realistic too. Because during the actual test, I have a lot more time left when I finish. I'm not like super running out of time usually, and you can to experience. I'm gonna try to simulate that. I realize I'm still gonna go slower than normal because I have to explain stuff. But I just want you to see my thought process. So I'm gonna not read out loud as much. That's my strategy for this one. Okay, first module, like even starting in the first module, I'm gonna go just like I was treat it as a second module. Because if you take it first module easy, you're gonna treat the second module easy as well, at least like subconsciously. So don't do that. Okay, you want to like go full guns blazing starting from the first module. So I always start grammar questions first because these are easier, right? Okay. I always take dashes first because the most likely to be correct. There's no other dashes here, but I'm just gonna read it. So when hubscripts are pressed, this means inside the instrument. So that's just a sentence. Sorry, so it's the sentence. It's not like there's no information here. There's no reason. It's just like a normal sentence. You just interrupting sentence. That's not right. So you have to pick no punctuation. The answer is D for this one. The only singular answer choice. Question marks. Usually just read it and see which one sounds best. You can look at the beginning to see if it starts in a way that you start a question with, which it doesn't. So there's no like the could isn't at the beginning there basically, or the how isn't at the beginning. So there shouldn't be a question mark at the end. It's probably going to be this one, but let me just read just to make sure. From the university to investigate how their use could be better. To investigate how could their use. Yeah, this one sounds way better. But usually, if you put the question, you want the questioning words to be at the end. Like could, that should be at the end of the sentence, as far end as you can put it. Yeah, that's when there's no question mark at the end. If there was a question mark at the end, you want the questioning words to be at the beginning. That's how I knew it was probably going to be B. But I'll read it just in case. Past present feature question. So I'm just going to read the entire passage to just understand the context. All right, so each night, probably present tense then, because it's each night a section is present tense. Is, so made up of. Inside the, okay, so this is present tense, illuminates, right? Inside the structure, illuminates that makes sense. Okay. So I look at the apostrophes first for these plural possessive questions and see if it makes sense for the possessives to work. So simplicity, it makes sense for the phrase. Yeah, it makes sense for simplicity to belong to the phrase, right? So that makes sense. So you can eliminate this one. There should be apostrophe there. The phrase, there's only one phrase in his famous phrase. In his famous, so it's one phrase that's wrong. So it's difference between this there and it's. It's referring to phrase. I think it is simplicity mask its complex. Yeah. So it's just one phrase, right? So it should be it, not there. Okay. Character. So title name. There shouldn't be any punctuation between the title and the name, and the comma is there if it's attaching additional information. Let's just check. Fans of this film may not know the deep and humorous voice behind the character Toma the Crab. Behind this character belongs to. Yeah, there's no additional information. It's just like continuing on with the sentence. Yeah. Okay. Oh, cool. So. Moving on to transitions, the celebrated Potter made her signature. Oh, I need to not talk out loud. I'm so used to talking out loud in videos. Okay. I'm gonna get the pacing down in the first module. That way I can do it in the second module. So, Potter made her signature. I'm still talking out loud. Okay, so signature was using a heating technique. This technique involves spotting the flame. Okay, so this is like the technique. The vessel takes on a shiny. So because of this technique, it does this. So cause and effect. As a result, bam. Okay, move on. in the early 1970s, took up graffiti art, spraying his work into what at the time an unconventional surface, concrete. So it's not conventional. Albert's son has chosen an unusual canvas for his project. So similarly, that would work. It's also like a parallel structure, kind of like this person chose an unusual thing. Like this person chose an unusual thing. Like, it makes sense, right? So similarly, so likewise, that's the same thing. Similarly, in his remarkable work, the artist draws charcoal into. Yeah, it's just an explanation of that. Okay, that's fine. So Mary Ellen Pheasant is a successful entrepreneur under moniker. So she's the mother. So she started human rights, successfully challenging discrimination. She sued the street company for denying. It seems to be a zooming in thing. It's like a further explanation about her successful discrimination in the state. A suit she eventually won. Yeah, so specifically, bam, that's zooming in. Or like, for example, it's kind of like that. Okay, the Inca of South America used intricately knotted string devices called quipas to record. So like abacuses, right? There's like population data and payments. They may have used quipas to record more complex information like stories and wait, how? What? Like knotted string? How do you record stories? But overall, this is like I call this swapping. Basically, you can like read this sentence first before this one, and it still makes sense. The idea behind this is it's like listing multiple things. Where it's like have you list things, just list like, oh, that's a story. I want to buy milk and buy eggs and buy this thing. Like you can say eggs and milk or milk and eggs, and it doesn't change anything. Right? It doesn't matter which order you say in the list. So like you can swap these. Basically, if you're listing two things, this like the sentence before and sentence after the blank is like two things that they're listing, then it should be like in addition, moreover, or furthermore, like one of those three, right? So that's swapping. Okay. I wasted a lot of time explaining that. That's a bad idea. Okay, I'm not going to go into that depth in the second module. Basically, okay. The student wants to emphasize this person's achievement. Okay, we're looking for an achievement by crossbreeding the imported species. So by doing this, the person succeeded in. That could be achievement, right? I was thinking more achievement, like an award, but I guess no. I guess that fits. That's probably the answer. In 1930, the wage enlisted thought to limit. So that's like what they sought to do. That's what they wanted to do, not what they did. Was enlisted when a local variety of sugarcane needed to be produced. I should have practiced. I'm still reading out loud. How do I not? I should have practiced this before I did. Okay. I'll practice it in the first module. I got it. Okay. Yeah, so at a time when it's not like what they did at all. Okay. Part of efforts to breed and imported called it doesn't even mention the person. Like we need the person's achievement, right? Okay, the student wants to specify how the salt ennobles energy storage. So how the salt ennobles energy storage. Interesting. So scientists have developed a freeze-thaw battery that contains molten salt which liquefies when heated and solidifies. Yeah, that's not like anything about how the salt enables energy storage. Like how does it do it, right? Yeah. Okay. Or like what? Yeah. Anyways, okay. There's no causation there. It's storage. The stored energy which contains molten salt can be used. Yeah, but like how does the salt cause this? It doesn't even mention like the salt causing anything. When the solidifies at room temperature, so when the salt solidifies, energy stops flowing. It could be that's green. So that explains why. Like the energy stops flowing when the salt is at this room temperature thing. Okay. Allows to contain 92%. So that's not. Molten salt allows a freeze-thaw battery to retain. Yeah, it's not how. It's not how. It's just like saying it. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Whether a common person is creating small paintings and illustrations or large. So whatever they're doing, a copper cutout as an example. She is direct experience, drawing from. So she's using direct experience. Drawing from memories of her childhood in Texas with details of her. So drawing from. So usually for vocab questions, there's pretty much always going to be something that gives away what the answer is. Actually, there always is. And it's usually going to be like a synonym. So in this case, the synonym to the answer is going to be drawing from. You should be able to find like a synonym to the answer somewhere in the text. That's most of the time. So drawing from, which one is the same as drawing from? Inspired by. Right, so he's drawing from the experience, and this is like exemplifying that. So it's perfect. This is drawing from. Okay, next. Disproving the common misconception of native art as the painters whose So if you're disproving this common misconception, the painters whose work appears, so the painters disproved it. So we need to look at what the painters did, and then that's going to be the opposite of the answer, because the painters disproved this thing. Okay, works appears employ a range of styles. So if they employed a range of styles, that means that it should be not a range. So like a very simple, like conception, the art is simple, I'm guessing, or like not a lot of range, not a lot of variety. Okay, let's look in artists and so this is listing examples. Yeah, okay. Homogeneous. That means like everything's the same, right? Yeah. Okay. Recent measurements of the mass. So recent measurements of this were notable not only for the mere fact that right. So recent things was so the recent measurements they found that were notable, like very important, or like they noticed it a lot because of the mass difference from expectations, but for the difference, so the mass was different from expectations, but for the something of the so for like the how big the difference was, that's what was notable. Okay. Was even stands, yeah, 7 stands, so like how big it was, right? Yeah, then predictable by the, yeah, so how the scale of it. Okay. The birds seem to communicate over potentially great distances. For this reason, many researchers believe that birds in densely vegetated, so like very dense, a lot of things disrupting the communication, I'm guessing, the singing, generally sing at lower frequencies. Okay, so I'm assuming lower frequencies can pass through the dense vegetation than birds in sparse, since dense vegetation tends to the distance that high. Yeah, so it tends to like stifle the distance. That makes sense because like then, like why else would they? So they do lower frequencies in the dense. The denser it is, the lower frequency. Probably because you need to go lower frequency to like travel through, or else it stifles it to diminish, like to like to like get rid of this conceal. I think diminish. Like yeah, I think diminish works. Okay. I keep on hitting the mic. I need to. Okay. Which choice best states the main purpose of the text? So, Francie, a young girl, visits the library often. Francie thought, so it's a young girl, okay, that thought that all books in the world were in that library, and she had a plan about reading. She was not skipping. Okay, so she's very determined. Like even the dry ones, or maybe it's like she enjoys the dry ones even. So you remember that the first she had been reading a book a day for a long time now. She was still in the bees. So yeah, that's like there's no way that's interesting for her, right? Although she had read about bees, vacations, fall enthusiasm, she had to admit that some of the bees had been hard going. Yeah, so like it was hard going. Yeah, yeah. But Francie was a reader. Okay, so she's just determined to finish everything because she wants to be a reader, or she is a reader. Okay, the illustrates enrollment. No, it's not enjoyment of. Yeah, the purpose is just to say like why she's in the library overall. Okay, to illustrate Francie's enjoyment of an unusual topic. There's no like enjoyment in there. I mean, there's enjoyment sometimes, but it's not like enjoyment, right? So that's one. To explain why he prefers reading over it's not no other activities in the passage. To portray determination, yeah, it's perfect. To describe a book that Francie greatly. There's not a single book. It doesn't say that. Okay. The people of medieval Europe has traditionally been seen as uninterested, so they're very dirty. But modern research has shown that this is a largely so it's actually they're not dirty. According to historian, most people at least one public, only one. Wow, that's not a lot. Which often offered both food, motion, and morphology. I guess it's like a really big bathhouse or something. While some menus were available mainly to town dwellers. It's like only to certain types of people. I'm guessing, not everyone. Such bathing at home were also common practices too. So I'm guessing like in the towns there was public bathhouses, but in like the farms or like the rural areas, they still bathe as well. Okay, so the purpose of this underlying portion is to say there's like a limitation to the previous sentence. So it's that in medieval Europe, steam baths were more popular in rural areas. No, it's not. No, it's not in rural. It really didn't have steam baths in rural areas. That's what it said. It describes the limitation of earlier historical studies of medieval. That doesn't actually. It's like this was the. Yeah, no, this isn't a limitation of this. It's more like this was a limitation of this, right? This part was of that. Okay, yeah, that's what it's talking about. The historians earlier historian studies, right? That's what that's talking about, the traditional studies. Okay. Anyways, it concedes that not all people in the public had access to. Yeah, that's literally what it's saying, right? It was only available to town dwellers, so it's not everyone. Explains why I decided to study. No, why did she decide to study? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't say anything about that. If anything, maybe you say that here because you're trying to disprove this, but it doesn't even mention that either. Okay, that's definitely not where the underlying portion is. Definitely. Okay, when classical pianist performs, it appears as if the music is coming to us spontaneously. So it says appears, so I'm guessing it's going to go in the direction of like it's not spontaneous actually. She's highly skilled technically, but because of how fully she plays and she seems relaxed. Okay, her apparent ease, however, is due to, so it's actually she's working hard, right? Yeah, tremendous effort. Despite experience, she never takes for granted that she knows the piece. Instead, so she's very humble. Instead, she approaches the music as if, sorry, as if encountering it for the first time. Okay, yeah, so she's very humble. She works really hard. That's what it's saying, and like the outcome pays for itself because she can perform really well. And it looks like she's not putting that much effort. Okay, it provides details about how it identifies which piece. No, not like it doesn't talk about which pieces at all. There's right that when look effortless because of how it's perfect. To discuss the kinds of music feels most comfortable encountering. It doesn't talk about the kinds of music. Describe the unique way Butcher's music she has. It doesn't say anything about it being unique at all, and also it doesn't say music she hasn't performed before because it just says encountering for the first time as if she was encountering, but I'm not saying like she's actually encountering for the first time. It's like as if. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Sure. I don't need to. Sure, that's fine. Okay. Most likely respond to online claim. Cool. One of these. An excavation in the cave in central Mexico has upended the belief that approximately 13,000 years ago, a group known were the first human inhabitants. Okay, so they found something in a cave that disproved stuff. More than 200 crude stone tools were found embedded in a layer of earth that is up to. So they found this stone tools. I'm assuming like what humans use. Up to, that's like a really big difference. Like that's like more than double of like what they previously thought. That's crazy. Revealing that human occupied the cave thousands of years before. Yeah. Okay. The objects uncovered in the cave are intriguing, but it is premature to characterize them as. This is saying it's too early to say that this claim is true. The stone pieces are so roughly shaped that they may have simply fractured from rocks during. Oh, what was the scientist doing? Like, was it that bad? Wow. Okay. Moreover, the unearthing was thus far not been accompanied by discoveries of others. So it's not like others supporting parallel evidence or even trace the DNA. Yeah. Okay. So it's just saying there's not enough evidence for this. Yeah. Like slow your boat down. You're getting too excited, right? That's what it's saying. You need like actually find evidence. Okay. By suggesting that it draws a plausible connection between two groups of people. No, it doesn't. What? It's like just disagreeing with that. By asserting that if that's on an assumption about the stone, yeah, the assumption is that it's actually like it's tools used by humans, right? That's the assumption. That's not sufficiently supported by, yeah, perfect. Okay. By acknowledging that it would most likely be proved correct when the stone pieces undergo. No, it doesn't say like most likely. Or else it would actually say in text 2 like something about it. Oh, it might be correct, and here's why. Okay, pointing out that it fails to account for evidence that the Clovis people were active. No, the Clovis people were the original people. Like this doesn't even mention anything about the Clovis people. Okay. Main idea time. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're kind of below pace. Damn, I'm screwed for the second module. What? Okay. I need to read more silently. Sorry, I'm gonna like try to pace. I'm gonna read this silently and see how it works. Okay, I'm gonna try. Let's go with it. So, wait, I need to get into silent reading mode. Okay. Tourist. And okay. In the is the story. I don't know if this is good because you can't tell what I'm doing. I want to like at least talk out loud a bit. But these two things, content and structure, right? The structure of something. Of the story is okay. In The Godfather, is the content, the structure, but literally are insufficient to completely describe it. Okay, yeah, it's like not enough. Right? There's a lot more complexity. Let's count this up the way in which But yeah, so there's like a lot of things they're missing basically. Okay, I think that was slower. Okay, literally, Felix argued that there were important characteristics of narratives. Wait, like what was the main? The main idea was is just like there needs to be more. Like this way of analyzing stuff isn't good enough, right? Okay. Argued that there are important characteristics that are not fully encompassed. Yeah, by two the other artists have used. Other theorists, many theorists distinguish. Yeah, other theorists have used this, right? That's what it's saying. Many theorists distinguish between this and this, and like how they're presented, and then yeah, so that's what A is saying. Perfect. Um, Claim that meaning is not inherent in the narrative, but is created when an audience encounters narrative. So, what? It's not like it doesn't say oh it's not inherent. It's like what the off. Yeah, that's not what it says. The storytelling methods used may seem unusually complicated, but they can be unused. No, that's the exact opposite of what it's saying. Narratives that are told out of chronological order are more difficult for it. No, what chronological order? It doesn't say anything. I mean, I guess it says that, but it's not like the main focus, and also it doesn't say it's more difficult. Okay. I think I need to talk out loud. Shoot, this is gonna be really hard. I'm just gonna. Yeah, I should have practiced this. My bad. I'm gonna do what's comfortable for me, at least right now. I'm gonna talk out loud, and like if I need to, I'll like just like not talk out loud as much. I'll try, but I don't think reading it completely silently is gonna work because it sacrifices the quality of this video. Okay, the passage of time is among the many who are pursuing de-extinction. So like they're preventing extinction by like making more of them. That is effortlessly breeding or mixture of cloning to bring back specifically longer species being extinct, the less likely it is for suitable habitats to exist. Oh, so it's not like they so like they can bring them back. The problem is that there's not enough, like they can't live anywhere because the habitat's gone because it's been so long. Okay. The problem can be especially concerning for, so the ones that's the oldest, which is just saber-tooth cat B. Yeah, I'm gonna mark this. I'm not gonna check the other. It just has to be B, which became extinct. Yeah, like that's okay. I think it's just B. I'm gonna mark for review if I have time at the end, but there's like no reason why the other ones would be right. Okay, because it doesn't even start with it doesn't even mention saber-tooth tiger for the other ones, unless I think I mentioned a bit on this one, but this was like this one compared to that one. That's not. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, the yellow to let me. Okay, there we go. I love these types of questions because they're really short and easy. Narrative expresses mixed feelings. We need to look for mixed feelings, like two or more emotions about her surroundings. This wallpaper has a kind of sub-pattern in a different shade, a particularly irritating one for you can see it in certain. So this is one emotion, it's like irritation. That's not like multiple. By midnight the moon shines, and all nights when there is a moon, I wouldn't know. Yeah, that's not. Is there even emotion though? I guess like uncertainty, but okay. And I'm really quite fond of the big room, so she's fond of the surrounding, all but that horrid wallpaper, so she's not. So there's mixed feelings of the surroundings too, right? Surroundings. That's perfect. Okay. The color is repellent, almost revolting, a smothering, unclean yellow, strangely faded by the slow turning. So that's just one emotion. This is revolting, it seems like. Okay, moving on. We are kind of making pace, actually, but I usually have a lot more time left. Yeah. Oh well. The only flowering plant species native to Antarctica. This and this. How do they grow in Antarctica? Grow in places where the earth remains. Oh, that's how they grow. Earth remains free of ice for much of the year. Wondered how the warming of planet had affected these species. I feel like it would help them because they have more places to grow. And so she visited a site in like first in 2009, later 9 years later, they count the number of plants growing there, and the plant covered by two species has significantly expanded during the time period, while both species benefited. Okay, so while both of them benefited, probably one of them benefited more than the other one. Like why would they say while here, right? Yeah. So this thing. What is happening? So this one has higher percentage, and this is percent increase in area covered. So it's like this thing benefited more. So it's going to say this increased more, benefited more than this one. But they both benefited, basically. They both increased, right? Okay. Suppress the growth of this, which covered a smaller area. No, like this thing didn't suppress that. There's nothing in the passage or the table that hints on that. saw a greater expansion than, yeah, so this thing did see great expansion, increasing the area covered by more than half, more than half, right, 55%, showed a greater increase in the average size of average size of individual plants. Does it even mention anything about that? No, this is area covered. All right, this is a lot smaller. I don't think that matters, like the percent increase overall. Okay, well that's wrong. It's not the average size. It's just like the overall area the entire thing covers, like all the plants cover. Okay, average land freely from, covered land newly freed from ice at a rate 55% faster. So it's not the rate that this is the percent increase. It's not like the rate that the increase is happening. Okay. Cool. So there's 3 more. There's 8 minutes. Okay, we are doing fine actually. This might be a good sign. I can do this on the second module too. Oh, okay. As a media consumption has become, okay, I need to not slow down. I find myself slowing down. I'm like relaxing. Go. Okay, but this is the second module. I'm like running out of time. As media consumption has become increasingly important, so it's multi-platform, socially mediated. Active news acquisition has diminished in favor. So there's like not a lot of news. Because the news finds me. Oh, it's these TikTok kids, man. As which people passively rely on the social networks, and ambient media environments for. Okay, so they just like let it come to me instead. Examine data on a representative group of adults, not kids, adults in the United States to determine. I guess they have to be adults, because like it's a study. Are they allowed to test kids? And I think they are actually. Anyways, political attitude, political knowledge, and political interest. Oh, it's politics. Although no major election took place sufficiently near the study to identify causality between. Like, why did they do it in the foot? They should have done it when there was an election. That doesn't make sense. Just wasted time. This posit that NF may reduce. Come on, at least do it during the election. Voting probability for an indirect effect. So we're looking for an indirect effect. So like maybe this attitude causes little interest, which causes them not to vote. So that's like the indirect effect. Like this thing causes that thing, which causes that thing. Okay. Attitude tends to increase in strength as major elections approach. Yeah, I'm thinking like they were adults because it's talking about voting, but like they didn't even get the voting part. So what's the point? Okay, so I'm getting distracted. As major elections approach, people are significantly more likely to vote in major elections than in minor. So we're just like not voting. It doesn't say anything about major versus minor. That's wrong. Has a strong negative effect on political knowledge and interest, and there was known to be a strong. Wait, so this thing causes negative effect on the interest. So that's like what I thought so far. And there is known to be a strong positive correlation between political knowledge. Yeah, so like when this thing goes up, when political knowledge goes up and interest, the likelihood of voting goes up. But when that thing goes down, which in this case, this thing goes down as well. So it's going down. So that supports it. Like this thing causes that to go down, which causes that to go down as well. So that's an indirect effect. Perfect. Okay. Political knowledge is known to have a strong positive effect on likelihood of voting. Okay. It shows a weak positive effect on political knowledge. I don't think it matters like between the two, right? And then if it shows little correlation between, if there's little correlation, then that means like there's no causation. There's like no effect at all. There's literally no correlation. Correlation doesn't equal causation, but you got the idea. Like there's not even like a chance because it's not affecting anything at all, right? There's little correlation. Okay, the likelihood of voting increases as political knowledge increases. And the relationship between tends to strengthen as the size of people's. What is the size of people's social networks? I don't think that matters. Like we're talking specifically how, likelihood of voting increases as political knowledge increases, and the relationship between. Okay. Yeah, so it's not how this affects that. That's not. When you see that when the attitude goes up, what happens, right? That's what we're looking for. It doesn't mention that. Okay. There goes all my time. I spent so much time on that. See, this is what happens when that's what happens when I get cocky. That might have just been a hard question though. In dialects, I'm pretty sure I got the question right though. In dialects of English spoken in Scotland, the always sounds strongly emphasized when it's like the accent or before other consonant sounds. Okay. English dialects in upland South region stretching from Oklahoma. So in the United States, instead of Scotland, place similar emphasis in all. So they're the same and before other consonants. Okay, historical records show that the upland South was colonized by largely. Okay, so the Scotland people came from Scotland. Yeah. It does. So because they colonized them, the Scotland people influenced the Upland South people. So they got it from the Scotland people, basically, for when they were colonized. The English dialects spoken in the Upland South acquired their emphasis on the R sound from dialects spoken. Yeah, it's because like when they were colonized, they got the dialect. Okay, emphasis on the R sound will eventually spread from English dialects spoken to dialects spoken. It doesn't say like eventually like what's gonna happen. It's more focusing on like what happened during the past, right? The English dialects spoken in Scotland were influenced by. It's like it's not like Scotland were influenced. It's the Upland South influenced by Scotland. Okay, that's it. Got the relationship backwards. Confused relationships. That's what that type of answer choice is called. Okay, people from Scotland abandoned their emphasis on the R sound after no what abandoned. That's the opposite of what it said. Okay, we have 3 minutes to do this question. We got this. In 2016, biological anthropologist and her team investigated the evolution of the appendix, the useless organ, right? That thing, an intentional organ that is present in some animals, including, but generally thought that, yeah, no, fuck, okay. Studying 533, the team found that the appendix has emerged independently across multiple lineages. How? So they came, so there has to be a use for it, basically, right? And significantly hasn't disappeared after emergence, but yeah, there has to be a use for it. So I'm going to learn the use. So moreover, the team determined that species with the organ tends to have higher concentrations of, so this thing, like this to help you sleep, I don't know, immune responses in the cell, the organ. Okay, therefore the team hypothesized. So the appendix does have a use. It's like, it helps the immune system because it causes more of this thing, which causes immune responses. Like it helps you not get sick, I'm guessing. So that is the use. So that's why it's like emerging and hasn't disappeared. Okay. Yeah, so hypothesize that there actually is a function that helps with immune systems. That's what the answer should be. So it was once present in many non-mammal species, but has since disappeared. No, there's nothing. That's not where that's not where the logic is going here. Like, why is it existing? That's what we're answering. Has been preserved in certain mammal species because it benefits other immune. Yeah, like preserved is a synonym to hasn't disappeared. It's the exact same thing. Certain mammal species, yeah, like independently emerge across like these mammal species because it benefits the immune system, which says right there. So every single word in here is in the text. Bees should be the answer. Will emerge in a greater number of mammal species because it may serve a necessary function. Nothing about the future at all. So we don't know for that. Yeah, this makes sense, but that's an assumption you make. It doesn't. The passage, nothing in here hints on like it will emerge in the future more. It doesn't say that. Produced higher concentration of tissue than it does. No, it's not like. Yeah, lymphatic. Then where does it say that, right? Okay. Cool. Does it even say like there was more in the past? I don't think it does. I don't remember reading that part. Yeah. Okay. So that's just one. It's like, is this? Yeah, that's one. Okay. We did mark 10. I'm already pretty sure this one's right. Let me just read the other ones. Okay, which became extinct. No, right? That's like, what does that have to do with like how old it is? Woolly mammoth has become extinct thousands of years before. No, it's literally wrong. Like this thing is older before. Yeah, this one's older. And then passenger pigeon became a few. Yeah, no, we need to look at the overall all of these. Which one would be especially concerning? Which is the one that's the oldest, which is saber-toothed tiger. Okay. I am pretty sure I got every question right here, hopefully. Now, second module time. This is going to be super important. Yeah. If I don't get a 1600, this is the second module. So every single second counts. Here's where grammar question starts. Perfect. The answer is A. That's the only plural answer choice. Okay. I'm going to check the colon first. A rate diagram reveals how this works. That's an independent clause. Nice. The whole is small size. So this has to be like a description about how it works. The whole small size restricts all light passing through the can only. Yeah. So that is the whole. It's because the whole small size restricts all light passing through the whole. Yeah. So, okay. To be honest, I kind of remember this question just because I don't really remember this, but I remember like what I learned from this question. That's why I got the answer is B here. I think I do remember this question actually, because I remember a student bringing this up to me. So yeah, but even if there was a question that was similar, I would have gotten that right because I like in my process now for colons, I always check. So the reason why these ones because there's two independent clauses here, right? Like it's fine if there's an independent clause after a colon, honestly, but it's not fine when there's like two independent clauses because you can't have a comma separating two independent clauses. It's not how commas work. Right, this is an independent clause. It's because, right, and also all late passing through the whole can only. So that's another independent clause. You can have two independent clauses here. So you actually, even though it is an independent clause and expanded thought after, the expanded thought after is two independent clauses separated with a comma. That's you can't have that in a sense. That's fine. B is right because, yeah, like there's an independent clause by itself with a period. That's fine. And also this is an independent clause because that's with because now. So that's a dependent clause. And there's only one independent clause in that sense. So that's fine. That's why B is right. Two independent clauses before and after the period. I think I do mention this in my punctuation video. I think maybe not. Maybe I forgot. I don't know. But like it's been a while since I remember that question, but I remember it still. So it is what it is. Okay. French point artist is just B. Title and name. There shouldn't be any punctuation between. You check the dashes. Okay, I can tell it's gonna be tricky because I need to like figure out where to put the dash, right? So I need like fully understood. Calais paired excerpts of these conversations with photographs. Let's remove B. So from this, so they paired the conversation with photographs to powerful effect. So does that make sense? In these conversation with photographs, so they paired it and that powerful effect. I think that does make sense actually. Does it make sense for this to be additional information? Both of in the recent items they describe from here to. That does make sense. That's additional information. It's like descriptions of the types. I think it is. Let me try C. So paired excerpts of these conversation photographs from hill to grass to sculptures to powerful. I don't think that makes sense. Like, why is the. Yeah, that photographs. Wait, doesn't. I think from hill to grass. Both of interviews and the items they described from. Okay, so the items. So this is a information about the items they described. So that means this should be part of like inside the dash with the with what is this with what the additional information is about, right? So it has to be B. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty confident in that. Okay, American abstract artist Richard Serra. I'm used to has. I think it's because usually there's additional information here. That means if it's artist Serra assembles large scale. Place and culture at the time. Okay, yeah. So the answer should be C here, right? There shouldn't be like a main verb there. Yeah, I mean that's the only one that's not a main verb anyways. But like this is additional information. That's why the comma is there, and then separate it out, and then the rest is this is the independent clause. That makes sense. Okay. The answer to that one's B because that's the only plural answer choice. Okay. Historians agree that the jazz pianist was exaggerated when he claimed to have invented jazz music. No one could deny. It's probably like contrasting because like it was exaggerated, but actually, remarkable as a genre early. So he actually did do it in his early years. Like he did like help it in its early years. Okay. Biographer notes that the novel lived in a world of second thoughts, frequently tinkering with knowledge. It sounds like me. Although these initial, however, differences. I need to go faster. I need to focus more. I don't want to think. I don't want to like say like go faster and actually go faster. I just need to focus more and like do everything faster. Do the same conditions faster. Okay. Even by James's standards, some critics regard the two editions as so it's like confirming what's previously said. It's like it's just it's confirming. So, in fact, yeah, that's the only one that would and like is even close to fitting. In hindsight, so looking back, given the ideas about the natural world circulating among British scientists, the theory of natural selection was an obvious next step. It may not have been a coincidence that arrived at the so because of this, like because it was so obvious, it's like it's pretty not a coincidence that they found it, right? So it's because of this. So I can use cause and effect. So then. Indeed, contrary to this is not the first supporting it more. Okay, yeah, it's cause and effect there. In a recent study, it's examined the sleeping and waking habits of a group of cows. Determine if the cows' activity suggests the animals were. What does that mean? So they looked at the sleeping cows and they found. Okay, I got that with this. And then the researchers studied that the cows are more. Okay, so this is like a further explanation of that, like zooming in. I don't see it, but it's in other words. I don't see it zooming in. I guess, yeah, this is a restatement, huh? I guess it is just restating it, I guess, but it is explaining it more, I guess, but it's restating it. The other ones definitely don't fit anyways. Okay. The student wants to emphasize the similarity. Oh, I love similarity ones between. Okay, this should be easy. P and both travel beneath Earth, causing the ground. Yeah, they're both doing this, right? Similarity. Earth point at higher rate. No, that's the difference. This one's higher than that one. Spreading out to focus on what P waves. That's only P waves, not S waves. You need to do both of them. Okay, although start they P as difference. Okay, that's one. So I learned that I need to read the bullet points if I even feel like a bit uncertain. Like 26 and 27, by the way, the bullet point questions, the last two bullet point questions can get pretty hard. So I need to make sure like I'm like fully committed to reading bullet points as soon as I feel like a bit of uncertainty about like how hard the question is. Once to indicate the I'm already okay. And this just looks intimidating to me, like classification category. I don't know. I guess I just from experience, I don't know. But I'm gonna read the bullet points because it's question 26 first of all. 26, 27, you should probably read the bullet points, and like this looks like a hard question. It's not like an easy question, like similar, like find the similarity between the two. Like that's looks kind of hard. But you have to understand like what the classification category is. Okay, the U.S. fish keeps a list of all at-risk species. Species on the list are classified. So they keep a list of this, and there were one or two. Most of it. What are we trying to find? Oh, the red legs class. Okay, we need to find the category of the frog. Okay. Extinction, endangered. Okay, so yeah, there's endangered, and then there's soon to become endangered, which is threatened. It's likely to soon become so it's threatened. Right, so we need to look for how the red-legged frog is threatened. Species which includes classifies either. So that's not we needed to say threatened, not endangered or threatened. Appears on the at risk. That's not like the category. That's just like it's on the list. That's what it says. Not like the category. Okay, according to is in the endangered. That's wrong. It should be threatened. Likely to soon become endangered is classified. Yeah, it's D. Okay. The student wants to make a generalization about the materials used in Dao. Yeah, this also looks hard. Like generalization usually does a hard. I'm gonna read the bullet points. Okay, 26, 27. Just read the bullet points. It's worth the certainty, even if it takes longer, and you would have gotten the question right like a lot faster. I feel like the hard questions, you never know if you got the question wrong or not, unless you like read the book. It's a bit like I don't like uncertainty, basically. Okay, I'm wasting too much time. Let's go. The ancient was a sailing vessel described by its triangle sail. So it's like okay, it's primarily used for trade. Okay, used the mix of modern. So we're looking for the materials, right? This is really important. So use the mix of modern and traditional materials to build this. Okay, most of the materials used are traditional. Okay, so most of them, but they're mixed of modern and traditional. Most of them are traditional. As an example of traditional, of using the actual material. Okay, was used to stitch together the coconut. So this is like more of a fact, not a generalization. Like generalization is like a broad claim, basically. Like you could start a paragraph with it and then like further expand and like provide evidence for that thing. But generalization, you're looking for like a really broad claim. Selling vessels used primarily for trade. It's not like the materials, right? Okay. Although traditional some material, yeah, that's a generalization. Like, yeah, you could start a paragraph like that, and then like continue on. Like it's like an opening topic sentence, right? That's what generalization is really. Which is this? So that's not the materials. Yeah, there's no materials in here. I think. Cool. We are very behind on time. Shoot. Oh, I'm in trouble, huh? Shoot. Okay. The War of 1812 has place in partly because it is overshadowed. So it's overshadowed. So it has little place in historical memory because it's overshadowed by this thing. Partly because it's essentially maintained, and also like it didn't do much to the country as well. So that's why. Okay. So like it's overshadowed, tenuous. Tenuous. Tenuous means like uncertain, I think. Okay. Confounded, which printed editions of books use historians argue repeat. So the strongly badly criticization of industrialization is use of handmade materials, intricate of medieval scripts. These handcrafted. So it's like I guess an exemplification of this. Yeah. So I think it's like is shown in the editions used. Like so they pretty much, without actually saying it, they're criticizing industrialization by not doing industrialization methods, which manifest in. Perfect. Okay, moving on. The long-standing trend of oversizing teenagers and young adults in research, scholars have recently begun to. So yeah, scholars just did something to this. Okay, what did scholars do? Have recently begun to expand the focus to include the fast-growing cohort, senior citizens, and this is not seniors. Yeah, so they're like fixing the long-standing trend of just focusing on teenagers and young adults by also focusing on senior citizens. So the redressing, precluding means stopping, or I think it means stop. It's like something negative, but I think redressing fits really well here because you're redressing it and you're fixing it. I think that makes sense. Like you're redoing it, I guess. Okay. So I was riding a taxi. So like these are like picturing what's going on in my head. Like I have a visual idea of it because they're really descriptive. So the narrator is riding a taxi down a street lined with food vendors. Because they're in a taxi right now. There's a bunch of stuff going on the street. Shoppers, okay. The motto of to be dressed in blue every day, but Sunday, when for the most part they put on unbelievably festive black. Here they are now in blue. What's the point of they're in blue anyways? They're speeding every inch our passage with so they're blocking the path, right? That's what it's saying. Like they're disputing every inch of. I think disputing means blocking, because every inch our passage. Yeah, they're blocking. They're busting, carrying on. Yeah, so it really helps to picture what's going on because that helped me understand it really quickly. Providing resistance too. Perfect. Next. Did we make back time? No, we didn't. We did kind of, but let's go faster. I don't want to encourage you to go faster, but I'm still doing everything the same way. I'm just doing it faster. Okay, don't sacrifice accuracy for speed. That's really important. Worst case, you just run out of time. It's way better than trying to shortcut everything, getting everything wrong. Okay, painters returned to the United States in 1938. After the decade, his style underwent an abrupt transformation. It transformed really quickly, turning away from landscape painting. This is an explanation of the transformation. Style that often includes. So it's like, yeah, texture brushstrokes, subjective experience, became painting portraits in a bold new way. What's the bold new way? So they, instead of like very subjectiveness, they went not subjective, like very clear, I'm guessing, in a bold way. So there's a very drastic change. This is just an explanation about the transformation. Okay, that's what the purpose is. It elaborates that's good, provides previous sentences statement about a transitional moment. Yeah. It's 38. That's pretty easy. It provides information about Darwin's supportive claim about his artistic influence, which is advanced in the following. About travel in support of a. No, okay, not about travels. Shoot, I'm like losing focus. It recounts a moment in Johnson's personal life that enabled, not a moment in his life, right? That enables the success of his. No. Nothing about his success either. Doesn't mention anything about. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, it provides evidence that calls into question the previous sentence's characterization. No, nothing about calls into question. It supports it, if anything. Okay. Scholarly accounts. Here, it's the online portion again. Okay, the scholarly accounts of the movement, a movement that advocated for the social, political, and cultural empowerment and reached its zenith. Okay, so it's just like helpful for Mexican Americans. Tend to focus on most militant, outspoken. So scholarly accounts tend to focus on this. Okay, got it. Making it seem uniform. So it's like very uniform. It's not like the whole picture, basically. I should, however, that if we shift our focus away from the way manifest into low profile, so like the place where there's not a lot of outspoken figures, we can see more political and approaches, like more stuff, basically. Okay, it presents a trend in scholarship in the Chicago that the text claims has been reevaluated by researchers. I don't think it's been reevaluated by research. It doesn't say that. It just says this person has shown. It's not like other researchers adopted this, right? I'm gonna hold on. I don't think that's right. Okay, it identifies an aspect of this movement that the text implies was overemphasized by scholars due to their own nothing about own political orientation. That's one. It provides a common approach to studying the words that according to the text obscures the ideological diversity. Yeah, it's perfect. Right, it's very uniform. It obscures the ideological diversity, and also common approach. Like scholarly accounts of this tend to focus. That's the common approach. Like tend to focus. Right. It summarizes the conventional method for analyzing. Yeah, which the text creates a misleading impression of the effectiveness of. No, it doesn't talk about like the specifics of like the uniform. Yeah, it doesn't of like how it was uniform, like what it was uniform about. It doesn't say that. Okay, Do we? I don't know. Let's just do like a really okay pace. Okay, why are some critics skeptical of the concept behind this thing? So why are they skeptical about this thing? Since the completion of this thing, so why are they skeptical about this? Okay, let's read it. So a pair of residential towers, okay, that's what that is, has become covered in vegetation. It has become a striking symbol of environmental sustainability because there's vegetation on it, which features balconies that are home to hundreds of trees to serve hundreds of trees. That's crazy. For when you open, that's a lot of money. Why are they doing this? However, the concept has faced skepticism. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Right? Critics note that although the trees used in were specifically cultivated for the project, so it's like it just can't survive. Can survive on this? Yeah, they don't know. They just started on it. They don't know if the trees are actually gonna survive at all. How hard is it to make trees survive though? I guess like it doesn't rain enough maybe. I don't know. Some essential aspects of design are difficult to adapt to location. No, it's like how it doesn't survive in Milan itself, not how it doesn't survive in like other like slow down, man. You need to like first figure out if it survives in its own place first. The plant life on ended up being less varied than no, nothing about it less varied or anything. It doesn't say that. There has no less environment damaging than the construction of more. No, nothing about damaging environment. It's unclear whether it can support the plant. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. I'm gonna skip that. It looks hard. I mean, it looks really long at least. Okay, let's yeah, we want to do the easy questions first. Okay, save the hard ones at the end. So if you do run out of time, it won't be that big of a deal because you would have spent like an extra 5 minutes on that question anyways. Okay, based on the text, colleagues most likely agree with which statement about scientific. Great. Okay, but about this atmosphere. Okay, so I'm searching for so like New Life has proposed that atmospheric this thing could serve as a so if they see this, you know there's alien life basically, an indication that a planet. Okay, about this possibility finding. Excuse me, sorry. Finding that on rocky planets, atmospheric, and it couldn't reach detectably high on the absence of. So it works. That's what it's saying. Rocky planets, but the team also found that on so-called mini Neptunes, gas planets smaller. So these are planets smaller than Neptune, but with atmospheres similar to Neptune's, can be high enough to produce. So it can also produce. So you can mix it. So it might be like it actually signs of life, or it could also be like a mini Neptune, basically. Cool. Okay. With most likely, so we need to support something about. Okay, let's just read. It presents its presence is more likely to. I should have come up with an answer. It's more likely to indicate that a planet is a mini Neptune than the planet is a. No, it doesn't say that this is more common than this one. It does not say that. That's one. It's unlikely that a planet that's not a mini Neptune indicates that the planet. Its absence from a planet that's not indicates probably doesn't have life. I think no. What? Yeah. I guess, but it's not just like it's on rocky planets. What if it's like on not a rocky planet, right? What if it's on like a gas planet? And also, yeah, I just think I'm gonna hold on to that. Maybe it should be treated as a biosignature gas detected in the atmosphere of a rocky planet. Not so either like this one too. Just because there's not, I feel like if there is that means there's life on rocky planets. Yeah, I think. Anyways, treated as a bio. Is detected in the atmosphere of rocky planets, but not if detected. Yeah, so it should be treated as a rocky planet thing. That's what. Yeah, but not as a. Okay, yeah, it's perfect. I think it's C. Okay, yeah, this one. It's not all planets. Like it could be like it has to be rocky planets too. Okay, it doesn't reliably reach high enough concentrations in the atmosphere of rocky planets to be treated as a biosignature gas. Rocky planets or no. Well, it doesn't say that couldn't reach if there was absence of life. I think that's what it's saying. Yeah, it's just no. I think rocky planets is fine. That's what it's saying. Okay, this one looks easy too. Let's do. Shoot, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're barely gonna make it. I think. Okay. In the poem, the speaker describes having contradictory feelings while experiencing the sights and sounds. So again, mixed feelings while experiencing the sights and sounds. Okay. Through in this reporter. Wait, what the heck is going on? It's leaves that every flower enjoy. It seems like happy stuff. That's what I'm getting. This is hard to understand. Wow, the budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air. Actually, not that really. I must do all I can that there is pleasure. Okay, that's not complex feelings, right? The birds, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least Most of which they made, it seems a thrill. Yeah, this is like, these are all pleasurable stuff. That's not complex. Okay, it heard 1,000 blended notes while in the grove I sat reclined. In that sweet mood with pleasant thoughts. So sweet mood and sad thoughts. That's complex. Okay, it has to be D then. I'm skipping that. No way I'm doing that. Skipping that. Oh shoot, all of these look hard. Okay, I'm doing this. I'll just go backwards. This one doesn't look as hard, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it is. In the beginning, okay. In a 2013 study, researchers compared the feeding behaviors of wild lions with those of captive lions. The researchers noted that previous studies focused on other carnivores have shown that providing animals with food at regular intervals is common. Facilitate development of novel behaviors such as reducing. So like if you're giving too much, if you're spoiling them, it's reducing the need for cognitive engagement. Therefore, it's not supposed to find that. Development is like purposely repetitive behaviors. Yeah, novel. Okay, so we're looking for something that's like a very repetitive behavior. I'm guessing that's why they give the example, right? Or like very novel behavior. Okay, bones from provided to show signs of extensive gnawing beyond the point of nutrition and extraction, with bones from prey hunted by wild lions. Yeah, I think that's not what I expected, but yeah, it's like if you're gnawing on it, yeah, that's like repetitive behavior, right? So I think that works. During feeding episodes showed much more aggression than the wild male lions, whereas so not about male and female. I don't think it's like we're looking for repetitive actions when feeding boxes have a cognitive demand to open showed repeated behavior similar to those that wild lions show. No, we're looking at just like repeated behaviors that don't like take a lot of cognitive engagement. I feel like figuring out how to open boxes is cognitive engagement. Show the stereotypical behavior of placing in the enclosures as feeding times approach was. That's still cognitive engagement. Like when you're expecting the food, you're like pacing. I feel like you're expecting food. And that's not. Yeah, but before embarking, like that's not like you need like a repetitive, purposely repetitive. That's not a lot of cognitive engagement. Not like gnawing on a piece of thing, even though there's no point in doing so. Like that's it. Whereas pacing because you're wanting food, I think that is, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Shoot. Let's do this. I'm usually fine with. I'm not fine with that. That looks hard. Oh, let's just do. Oh wow, we're wasting time choosing between them. Okay, under normal atmospheric pressure at Earth's surface, water molecules form a tetrahedral network. Okay, I can feel like I need to understand this. Okay, so normally they form a network. Extreme high pressures, such as can be found in deep, destabilizes these bonds and compresses water structure, allowing water molecules within to permeate proteins. Okay, so they like. Yeah, they break when they're in deep waters. Yet, ocean known as have adapted to extreme pressures. Okay, they found a causal correlation between depths and compass. They found something that helps them, which has led to the team to emphasize that team reduces water's compressibility. Okay, got it. So they prevent water from prevent the hydrogen these bonds from destabilizing whatever. Okay. Major water molecules were found to be impervious to TMAO even when I feel like no, it's like this impervious to pressure, not impervious to TMAO. Examination of shows that retain their shape even as. No, we're talking about like the water, not this, right? Like a positive correlation is found between concentrations and the rate at which compresses as. That's the opposite. Like we want this to not compress when this happens, right? So there should be a negative correlation. Okay, it has to be D. The analysis of waters under high pressure reveals that hydrogen bonds are more stable when TMAO is present. Yeah, so when it's present, then it's more stable. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Let's just go to 8, I guess. Sure. Elizabeth has identified a negative correlation. So when one thing goes up, the other thing goes down between the shale developing economies derived from natural in those countries receipts of foreign investment. Okay, so natural extraction and countries' foreign investment. This may appear counterintuitive. Resource extraction, so like share developing countries divide from I'm like losing focus. So developing countries' economies derived from natural resource extraction, then those countries receipts of, so they get more investment, they lose more. Okay, that does make sense. This may appear counter to resource extraction requires initial investments at skills best may be, but notes that natural resource booms bust cycles can destabilize local currencies and increase developing countries' vulnerability to external shocks, creating levels of uncertainty to which, okay, economies, wait, I'm actually like, I don't understand this. What? It's like, it went against what I thought was going. What? Between the share of, shoot, I read even though I didn't understand. Okay, I'm stupid. Resource extraction requires, let's just slow down, okay. Let's probably, so between the share of developing countries' economies derived from natural resource extraction and those countries' receipts of foreign investment. Derived from natural resource extraction and those receipts of, okay, so more extraction means less foreign investment, and this makes sense because of uncertainty when there's like lots of boom and bust cycles in the natural resource world. Okay, that makes sense now. Although it may seem surprising that foreign investment declines as natural resource extraction may in developing countries as natural resource makes up a larger share of those, yeah, that decline happens because resource extraction requires initial investments too large for, no, it doesn't say like too large, right? It's just like, it's volatile. Although developing countries tend to become less dependent on foreign investment as natural resources make up a larger share. I didn't understand that. I'm like losing for, although developing countries tend to become less dependent on foreign investment as natural resources make up a larger share. Okay, this change may not occur if the boom bust cycles of these local or increase vulnerability. Wait, may not occur if the boom bust cycles of these industries destabilize local. I feel like it's not like this part. It's like they don't come because it's not stable. Although one might expect that foreign investments would increase as it takes up a larger share of developing countries, yeah, the opposite happens because heavy reliance on natural can lead to. Okay, let's just see. Although foreign investments tend to avoid initial investments in natural and developing countries, foreign investments may increase significantly. Wait, tend to avoid initial investments. Yeah, they tend to not in natural may increase significantly. Okay, it doesn't say they increase as it declines. Okay. We have time for like one more. I don't think we can do both. Which one's easier? Let's do this one. This one. I'm gonna trust my experience. Usually table questions are easier than graph questions. Okay. Some climate models predict that while total annual precipitation may remain unchanged from the present level, precipitation may become concentrated into fewer but more. So total participation may remain unchanged, but they become more intense and concentrated. University and stimulated how the amount of water entering and the amount being used for irrigation purposes would change. Oh, okay. And equate that concentration of participation into fewer events result in a higher number of dry days, triggering more irrigation. But that this change in irrigation output is highly sensitive to the baseline concentration. Oh, this is complicated as a lot. Okay. Is highly concentrated to the baseline concentration of participation that currently exists. So basically, there's more dry days if there's like if there's like irregularity, right? So how would we're trying to support is highly sensitive to this. My strategy is I'm not going to worry about the other question. Okay, I'm going to get this question right with the 2 minutes I have. Okay, output is highly sensitive to the baseline concentration. It's highly sensitive to the baseline concentration that currently exists. Okay, it's somewhat concentrated. Currently somewhat concentrated. It's currently evenly, but it's okay. So like basically there's less variation if it's already somewhat concentrated. It's highly uh change in water. So basically, this increases a lot. Is somewhat concentrated versus is precipitation evenly distributed. Huh? And concluded that concentration of participation will result in a higher number of dry days. Yeah, change in water, change in surface water used for irrigation. Okay, so change in irrigation, there's a lot of change. This is a little change. Okay, I gotta understand. So somewhat concentrated is not change. Okay, I don't know why it took so long. Shoot. If baseline precipitation is somewhat concentrated, the amount of water being used for irrigation will increase 0.4, and whereas the increase 11%. What? No, we need to compare like within the same category, I think. Baseline precipitation is somewhat concentrated, water use will increase only slightly, whereas it will increase 9. Yeah, if baseline is even, I think it's probably that one. In somewhat concentrated, the amount of water will increase 4.9, what amount used for. So I think we need to compare between the two. Used for. Shoot, only have 4 seconds. Okay. I'm not even 100% confident in this one. Yeah, like I just lost focus towards the end. I think I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm human. Okay, and I ran out of time on one question. I just left the question blank. I should have guessed on it. But like I literally tell my students to leave questions blank. That way when I come back to it, I can like see that they actually like didn't have time to solve that one. By the way, it's like I teach this strategy to students where if you run out of time, it's okay. Like you actually want to run out of time. It's like see, I got a 1570 on the August SAT when I took it, like the actual SAT, and I still run out of time as you see here. Like I understand, like I'm talking, so I usually don't run out of time because I'm thinking to myself I can usually solve the question much faster. But like I still run out of time. Like I struggle with time. Like unlike a lot of my some of my students can finish the second module with 10 minutes left and like pretty much get a perfect score. But like I can't do that, at least not because I don't practice this that much. I'm better at tutoring than I am at practice tests, in my opinion. But like I'm still trying, right? But like I at least like I tried to do the strategies I mentioned. Like I made sure I fully understood the passage before I went to the answer choices. And when I tried to fully understand each chunk I was reading, but sometimes like I just kept on reading. I still need to work on that. Like I still did that a few times still. Yeah, you saw. Like I moved on even though I didn't fully understand it, and that cost me. Like I probably would have finished all the questions in time if I didn't do that. Like all I had to do was just fully understand before moving on to the next thing. But I was like too stubborn. I was like I wanted to get through everything. That ended up costing me more time because I had to understand it in the end. But you see, like as long as I understood the passage, I could get the answer pretty easily. It's just sometimes I just like rush understanding the passage, which I shouldn't have done. But I'm actually kind of glad now. I'm just coping though. I'm kind of glad I ran out of time because if I that like shows you that like this strategy, like you should use this strategy. Okay, if you don't fully understand, and usually this is more extreme because like I would say I'm at a higher level of SAT. So like me leaving one question blank is probably like you leaving 6 questions blank even. At least on practices. On the actual test, you should guess on them, like genuinely. But like on practice tests, it's good to just leave them blank. That way, like the questions you don't get to, and you want to purposely run out of time on like the really hard questions at the end that would have taken you a lot of time anyways, because you just want to prioritize accuracy, right? It's better to make sure you get every single question right that you do, rather than solving all the questions and getting all of them wrong because you rushed the questions and there's no way you're gonna get the question right anyways. You probably had a better chance of just guessing the answers. You should watch I think it's my second most popular video right now. It's called like how to improve your reading score overnight. The title then the video might change. I don't know, but it's like something along those lines. Okay, it's like my second most popular video. If you haven't watched that yet, like I go over the strategy pretty in depth. It helps a lot. Like you generally improve your reading score by 100 points consistently. Like pretty much almost all my students improve their reading score by at least 50 points. Like the next day or like the next hour. As soon as you watch that video and just do what I told you to do, your score will improve a lot because you learn to prioritize accuracy over speed. And when you focus on speed, your accuracy drops a lot. Okay, and there's like you're gonna hit a block. Like even if you do better, if you do speed, you're not gonna improve much more. You have to take a few steps back first, get the accuracy thing in check, and then you can work on getting faster at the accuracy thing. Okay, but you need to take a few steps back and like ensure you have the accuracy before you try to tackle speed. And that's what I prioritize. Like I purposely didn't solve that. I purposely didn't cut my like last 3 questions short to try to get all 3 of them in. Instead, with the last 3 questions, I figured I probably wouldn't be able to solve all 3 of them. Let me just get 2 of them, and then I'll just leave the last one I could guess on that. In this case, I just left it blank, but you get the idea. Okay, it's better to prioritize accuracy than speed, and that's what I did, and I think that helped. Hopefully, let's see what. Hopefully, that's the only question. The only question I got wrong was the one I left blank. Hopefully, I know it's not gonna be the case. Like I definitely got like two more wrong though. That's usually what happens. Yeah, like I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna look so dumb because I'm like, oh, I like was yeah. Practice the 6 is hard. I don't think it's like the hardest thing I've seen. Like I probably could have solved it if I wasn't talking out loud. That's just me coping though. Okay. I'm gonna go drink some water. Oh, it's gonna suck if I like come back and I look at the test and it turns out I got a ton of questions wrong and I got like a 1540. That would suck. That would really suck. I think I'll just chill here for the next 2 minutes, give my brain a rest. But really, the first module math is also just like a break for your brain as well. Yeah, you can't let how you do in this first reading writing section affect how you do in math. Like you have to treat them as separate tests. Like all if you do bad on reading writing, you can't let that affect you on math. Because they're separate scores, right? You can super score. Like pretty much almost every college accepts super scores. Just focus on that. Okay, if you did bad on reading writing, you should do well in math. Like I have a lot of students, they do bad on reading writing during the test, and then that just affects the math score as well because their mental state is like completely like shaken. Which I understand because we're human, right? It's hard. But it's also like you want to get better. And don't let it affect you. Okay, just like try your best to like zone out what you've done so far. Okay, this is a new test. I'm a new me. Let's do math. Honestly, I don't even think I did that bad in reading writing. Considering how I did practice as 5, I feel like that's an improvement. Practice as 5. Hopefully, we'll see. Because I hope that I didn't get any other questions wrong. I sure hope I didn't get any first module questions wrong. I think I was pretty confident first module. So I shouldn't have gotten anything wrong. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is pull up Desmos. And then we'll just get started on the math questions in a few seconds. But like, the reason I'm not pressing resume testing is on the actual test, you won't be able to do it. Like it'll just force you to wait the 10 minutes. So I'm doing that too. Like you want to do that too when you're doing practice questions or practice tests. You want to, oh shoot, wait. Yeah, press resume testing. Okay. Pull up Desmos. As I was saying, during the actual test, you won't like you're gonna wait the entire time too, so you might as well do it. Like same thing, don't like move on from this module when you realize that you finished everything. Actually take your time, wait the full 35 minutes, like make sure everything's right. Just like I'm about to do, which is gonna be boring, but it's worth it, okay? Like you want to practice checking your work and everything, that's a skill you need to do, and you can't just assume you'll be good at it. Okay. A certain bird species can fly at an average rate, so we're talking about rate, average speed of 16 meters per second when in continuous flight. At this range, how many meters would this bird fly in 4 seconds? So, I mean, you can mess around, because this is really a converting unit question. You can mess around the units, but meters, let's do meters per second. Right, what do we need to multiply to just, how many meters would this would fly in 4 seconds? So, like how many seconds, or how many meters, right, in 4 seconds? So, so you multiply 4 seconds to this, you see the seconds will cancel out, and then we're left with meters. So you know, oh, we're in meters, so that must be it. So the answer is 32. And also makes it like each second, that's like meters, but each second is flying 16 meters. So there's 4 seconds, there's just 4 times 16. So, sorry, 4 times 16 is not 32, it's 64. 4 times 16. My brain is kind of fried, huh? Okay. Let's move on. But I got the same answer twice. At least I found like different reasoning for my answer 2 different ways. So I'm pretty confident I got that one right. I'm still going to check it at the end as well, just to make quadruple sure I'm right. Okay. So the line or in the xy plane has a slope of 4 and passes through the point cool. So we already know a point on this line and we know the slope, right? The slope is 4. So we can just have it solve for the y-intercept for us. The answer is going to be D, the one with the positive 6. Yeah, cool. You didn't even need to do that because you can just, this is the y-intercept, right? So you could have just, oh, 6, right? And just pick 6. Okay. If you know, you know. For this one, let me do this algebra first to like see if I can get an idea of what the answer should be. And it looks like it's B because you just factor out x to the power 3 here, x cubed here. And then that would end up with that. But you can also, what you do is you graph both of them and see if they're the same. Because if they're the same, that means, I mean, they're the same, right? They're equivalent. So that's the right answer. X3, x squared, minus 6x plus 8. And they are the same. Yeah. Cool. So B is the answer. Moving on. The equation x plus y equals 1440 represents the number of minutes of daylight between sunrise and sunset, and the number of minutes of non-daylight y on a particular day in Oak Park. Okay, if this day was 670, wait, what? Okay. I'm not understanding this. So represents the number of minutes of daylight between sunrise and sunset. Okay. Got it. X is the number of minutes of non-daylight. And Y on a particular day. How does that correlate with the number of minutes of daylight, though? A number of minutes. So I guess this is negative. Anyways, between, okay, number of minutes on a particular day, y on a particular day between x, wait, the equation represents the number of, so, oh, is this, oh, that makes so much more sense. That makes, okay, so it represents the number of minutes of daylight between x. So it's saying x represents this, and number of minutes of non-daylight y on a particular day. So y is the non-daylight. Okay, so this is the total amount of minutes, and this is x not daylight, and this is non-daylight. That makes sense. If this day has 600, so that's x, right? How many minutes of non? Okay, yeah, that makes so much more sense. Like, why did they word? That's like incorrect wording. No, is that like a typo? I don't know. That just seems really weird. Okay, so we know 670 is x, and we can just solve for y here. With this, the answer is 770. Cool. Yeah, and also, if you do 144 minus 670, it's equal to 770. So that confirms everything. And we're asking for how many minutes. We have minutes, right? It says minutes. Yeah, it's all minutes. Okay. No crazy unit conversion tricks there. Okay. Scott selected 20 employees at random. So this is a generalization question. Okay. For 400, he found that 16 of the employees of the sample. So 16 out of 20. That's like a pretty big percentage, and 80% chance of voting exactly 3 professional deployment courses this year. Based on the findings, which of the following is the best estimate of the number of employees we voted in exactly 3? Oh, so you just multiply the statistic to the actual population, which is 320. That's how generalization works. You estimate like a statistic, and then you multiply the statistic to the rest of it. Because it's not like you can survey all 400 people, so you just randomly pick 20 of those 40 to get like a statistic. And then they can use that statistic to generalize it to the rest of the employees. Okay. Which equation has the same solution? So a solution is just the value of x. So you could just graph it. If you graph it, it's going to give you the same solution. There's only one solution. Either way, I'm going to graph it. It's going to give you vertical lines. If you graph anything that's only one variable in it, like an equation with one variable in it, which in this case is only x in it, so there's one variable. So that's the solution. You just graph the other ones and see which one has the same solution. It looks the same, basically. And the answer is probably just A. Zoom in to make sure, but yeah, I'd say. And you can, so if you divide the 7 over, yeah, 63 becomes 9. So algebra 2, that confirms it. Answer is definitely A. Okay. So we need to isolate what the equation correctly expresses C. We need to isolate C. So you add 7 to your side. It's just A again. Yeah. Cool. That was straightforward. Next. I kind of There's no way I'm wrong there, right? I don't need to verify this with decimals. I'm just adding 7 to the other side. There's no way in the world where that's wrong. Okay. The function P estimates that there are 2,000 animals in population in 1998, each year from 1998 to 2010. There were, okay. The function estimates that the number of animals in the population increased by 3%. So the answer is probably, I'm going to read the rest of it though. But I know how exponential equations work, and this is probably the answer then. Of the number of animals, which equation defines this function where it repeats the estimated number of animals in the population x years after? Yeah, let's just see. Right, so the starting population, you should know exponential equation, right? It's in P 1 plus the rate to the power of like the time. And this has some complexities in it, but it's really just like how many times this thing happens. And so this is saying each year, right? Each year, it's increasing by this percentage, and it's starting at this number. So it's starting at 2,000, so P should be 2,000, and it's increasing by that percentage, which was 3%. So you put 3 there. So all equals 3%, right? So 1 plus 3% equals 1.03. Yeah, it works out. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure like the units are the same. So each year. Yeah, and 3% is each in the previous year. Yeah, so each year. Okay. Answer is definitely C. Okay, which expression is equivalent? So x squared plus 11. What am I doing? Let's just do it. I'm too brain dead to think through this. Okay, x plus 5. Let's type in the other one. So what do I think is the answer? My prediction. I'm trying to predict something that's not coming to me. It's probably D. My guess is D. Because I saw the 146 and that looks right. Oh shoot, no, it has to be less. My bad. Probably negative 14. That's my guess. It's probably A. Because it's like negative, like a big, negative 25 plus 121. It's probably... No, it's B. It's B. Okay, and the answer is B. Yeah, no, okay. Let's just check if B's right. So, what's the... There we go. Okay. So, if I turn the blue off, red should be red. Yeah, there we go. And the answer is B. Yeah, see, I can do algebra. My brain isn't completely fried right now. Let me zoom in, because it kind of zoomed out. Yeah, zoom really far in. Yeah, did the same. Okay, answer is B. Next. An egg is thrown from a rooftop. Okay, a quadratic function which represents a situation where h is the height of the egg above the ground. Okay, t seconds after it's thrown. Cool. Going to model, what is the height in meters which it was thrown? So the y-intercept is 18. Okay, you can graph this too. Just do negative 4 point. I'll just use x. I think if you graph t, it's gonna graph it too. But I just like using x. That's a comma, not a decimal. See, I'm like checking while I'm typing as well, just to make absolute sure I don't make any typos. Okay, plus 18. And see, so this is the path, right? It starts here, right at 18. And it's thrown and it drops again. Like, this is the top of the rooftop, and then it's thrown and it drops. Okay, yeah. And also you should just know, if I'm looking at the equation here, 18 is the y-intercept. Wait. You can also plug in 0 for x, and like 18 as well. That works. 18 is the answer. Wait, yeah, it's 18. I don't know why. I'm so paranoid to get a question wrong. It's just me. I think it's everyone. Okay. What is the value of 6x? So this is easy. I'm just going to do a regression, define x for me. I'm not going to even think about how to solve this with algebra because I'm too lazy. Oh, I forgot the 1 here. Bam. 48. Yeah. That's the answer. Because that's what 6x equals. Now, a lot of people would just find x and forget to multiply by 6. Yeah, couldn't be me. Because I actually know about that trick and I look out for it. Okay, the relationship between two variables, x and y, is linear. For each increase in the value of x by 1, the value increases by y. So it seems like the slope is 8. That's what it's saying. When the value of x is 2, the value of y is 18. Okay, so that's just like a point. So we have a slope and a point, just like the previous question. But now it's like a little harder because it's a word problem for him. But we know a point, right? It says when the value of x is 2, value of y is 18. That's a point. and we know the slope, which is the definition of a slope is how much y increases when x increases by 1. As Lou was saying, when x increases by 1, what does y increase by? So that's what slope is, right? Y1 to the slope, which is 8x1 plus b. That's our equation. The answer is that. And yeah, this is how I solve it on the actual test as well. That's just the answer. You can check it yourself, like, oh, if I increase this by 1, how much does y increase? It's pretty obvious. If I increase this by 1, it increases by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 8, yeah. So that verifies your answer as well. It also has the point of 218. So you could have typed all these in and then seen which one matches that as well. That works too. Okay. And there's also multiple ways you could have done that one. Okay, how many distinct real solutions does the equation have? I'm guessing 2, unless there's no solution here. There is no solution. Yeah, so I did this wrong. I should have. So for number of solution questions, you should put them on 2 separate lines that we can actually see for yourself. Because this could be infinitely many, which I doubt. I think it's just 0. But it could be, because infinitely many also doesn't show up. So I guess not for this type of question, because this is a quadratic, obviously it's going to be no solution. But you could graph on 2 separate lines, right? Like the two left side of the equal sign, the right side of the equal sign, graph on 2 separate lines. Oh shoot, there is a solution. Yeah, that's why you should. Oh no, it's no. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, there's no solution, right? They're not touching at all. 0. And sometimes it's infinitely many when nothing shows up, by the way. So you have to graph it, or you have to know like really well, like how quadratics works. But I did like all 3 of them, which the first one, you get my idea. Like I made sure that was the right answer by graphing on 2 separate lines. Oh, box plots. Ooh, I missed these. No, I don't, but they're just really easy. Okay, so I like when I see these. The 2 box plots show the distribution of number of box read over the plants of 2 different. Okay, where's the positive difference between the ranges? Oh, it's talking about range. Slightly harder. Between ranges of number of boxes read over the summer for the 2 classes. So the range is the highest minus the least. And the box plots, the highest is the highest, and the least is the least on the box, on the whiskers of the box, I guess. So we just get the ranges of the 2. So this is 5. So 5 minus 0 is 5. So class A is 5. That's the range. Class B is 10 minus 1, right? So 9. So it's 4. What is the positive difference between the ranges of the books read over the classes? I'm going to make sure I didn't misread anything. So this is distribution of the number of books read over the summer by the students in 2 different English classes. Yeah, this is 4. We got the ranges. We subtracted them. That's the positive difference. And the answer was 4. Cool. Next, the length of the edge of the base of a right square pyramid is 6. The volume of it, what is the height? Okay. Good thing that we have a reference sheet that tells us right square pyramid. Actually, not square, but rectangular pyramid. It tells us that. So let's look at this. The calculator goes above. Let me give it a calculator then. Oh, this isn't. What's happening? Let's just do this and scroll down. You can't see everything. Oh well, but you get the idea. So that's the formula. Let me pull up the calculator and write that down. So the formula is volume equals 1/3 length times width times height, right? Length times width times height. So let's just write it down first, and then we'll worry about everything later. Let me double check I typed that in right. I did. Okay, let's get rid of that. Now let's look at the question. And the question says the length of the edge of the base of a right rectangular pyramid. So that's the edge of the base. So that's like let me pull up the picture again. Because, yeah, why not? Okay, that's like this length, right? And also it's a square. So these are the same axes. So we know the length and the width because they're the same number. And is 6. So they're both 6. The volume is this. Where's the height? So we know these is 6. So it's just basically 6 times 6 times h. And we know the v, which is 2880. So now we just need the height. Answer is 240. Which is not one of the answer choices. What's happening? I love multiple choice questions because they can catch you on stuff like this. Are we looking for the volume? Right? The volume in the prism. Oh my gosh. I just ignore everything I've done so far. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. It didn't even say pyramid. It just said the right square prism. I'm so used to pyramids because the SAT loves asking about pyramids that I just assumed there's a pyramid. That's crazy. Okay. Um, so forget about everything I just said. The answer is 80. I take back. I'm so glad that that's multiple choice. That would have been insane. I mean, I would have checked my work. I would have noticed it, but you get the idea. Okay. So it's actually like this shape of a rectangular prism, but this is a square instead of a width and a height. This is the same thing. This is just no 1/3, right? This is no 1/3 in front of it. That's the difference between yeah. So that's why I got rid of 1/3 and I got 80. Yeah, that's yeah. Things happen, right? Your brain just hallucinates, and you're really certain that you actually read it, but no. Like I for some reason I read a pyramid. Like I swear maybe this P here. I just saw a P and I assumed it's a pyramid, and like I don't know. It happens. Okay. What is this? 16. So the scatter plot shows the relationship between two variables, x and y. An equation for the experimental model shown can be written as that, which of the following is closest. So you notice if you press the plus button, you press table, and let's type in some points. So basically in the template, in the drop-down menu for the regression button, the add regression button, there is an exponential equation thing. So we don't even have to like type in the equation ourselves. Let's just get some points. So that seems like a point on the line right there. 550, 50, so 550. What's happening here? Okay, 550. And what else? That also looks like a point on the line. We just need 2 points. We're just finding 2 unknown constants, right? So all we need is 2 points really. It's just how many constants you're trying to find. That's how many points you need. I think that's on 10 and 20. I think that's a bit off. It's like a bit less than it, but it's close enough. I'm going to get another one. Why not? I think we just need 2 though. But let's get 460 as well. Why not? 460. And let's make sure that it looks press home to reset it. Okay, let's look. Does that look right? That looks right, right? Yeah, like this scaling is way higher on the y side, so that makes sense, yeah. It looks right. So press add regression, switch it to exponential. Yeah, it has like this format of like this times this. Not all exponential equations are this format, by the way. It only works if the exponential equation actually follows this format, which in this case it does. So what's the closest value to b? B is the one inside the base of the exponent, which is 0.83, right? That's the closest. Cool. Next. What is the value of cosine x? So doing right triangles now. Here's x. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse 11 over 28. Wow, I'm like, you don't need to you don't even have to simplify, by the way, which I don't even think you can simplify 11 over 28. But I'm just saying, like, if it's a fraction, you don't have to simplify. This is a crazy easy question. You just have to know SOHCAHTOA, and that's it. You just have to memorize SOHCAHTOA. And as long as you know SOHCAHTOA, you memorize SOHCAHTOA, like you memorize SOHCAHTOA. You just have to know that. It's not even the word, but you just have to know the word, right? And that's it. Okay, what's the positive solution? What is a positive solution? Okay, let's just graph it. Positive solution hints that there's multiple solutions here. So I'm actually going to graph it instead of doing regression. You can use a way to solve this with regression that I'll show you in a bit. Because if you solve it 2 different ways, you get the same answer, then you're definitely right. But you get the idea. Okay, so usually it's multiple solutions. I graph it, right? So it's not letting me click, but I know it's 5, right? It's right on 5. So the positive solution is 5. Let me make sure I typed in it correctly. Yep. Okay, it's typed in correctly. Now the way you can do this with regression is do this, right? Do regression. The problem is it gives you the negative answer in this one. It usually gives you the number closest to 0. Which in this case, it might not be the answer you want. Instead, what we do is we just force it. We just tell it x1 has to be greater than 0, and it forces us to give us the positive answer, which is 5. So we got the same answer. Okay. Ooh, similar triangles. I hate these because they take a long time to draw. Okay. So, in the figure, xy, xz is intersected. Yeah, xz, xy, and wz, yeah. Intersected at point Q. YQ, so it gives us a bunch of names. YQ, okay. What is the value of YZ? Okay, so let's draw out. I hate drawing out with this. I should have bought like a scratch pad. Yeah, we'll make do. Okay, We'll make do. So draw the triangles. We have to line up the angles so that they the corresponding angles are matching, right? So let's do the first triangle, x, w, and what is this? Is q, I guess. Now on the other triangle, q goes here. Right, the q is the same angle, and then y goes here. So a lot of people mess this up and put z, like put q here because it looks that way, like q here. So they put the q right there instead of z, which is wrong. Right, q is the same as this q. Right, these are the same because the vertical angles. These are actually the same. So you have to put them at the same spot, and everything else lines up. Okay. So yq equals 63, yq equals 63, wq equals 70, wx equals 60, wx, and xq, where's xq? xq. Oh, actually, that's, okay, I'll just put it down here, 120. But basically, this length is 120. What is the length of yz? We need to find this. Okay, this is easy. We already had the proportions. So similar triangles, these are similar triangles, by the way. Anytime you see two triangles, they're pretty much guaranteed to be similar triangles. We also know these angles are the same as these two, so that automatically proves they're similar as well because all the angles are the same. But basically what we do here is we can just do a fraction on Desmos. We just type in 60 over x equals, I'm typing this out because I'm going to type this out later, but I'm just drawing it for now because we're in drawing mode, I guess. 70 over 63. Right, because the scale factor is the same, right? The scale factor, like this over this, is going to be equal to this over this, because the proportions between the sides are going to be the same for similar triangles. So we just set the proportions equal to each other. Yeah, so this over this, so the corresponding sides, the proportions of those are going to be the same. Okay, I already forgot the fraction, shoot. 60 over x, what's the other one? It was 70 over 63, right? I think. Let me map this out in my head real quick. So, this is where silly mistakes happen. I hate this. So wx was the big one. So if it was wq over, this is 63, right? qy, yq, yeah, 60. So 70 over 60, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then it was this wx, which should be 6. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 54. Okay. I want to double check my answers. I can double check that. 54. Cool. Next, we have 3 more questions. Okay, 20. The function g is defined by this, with t as a constant in xy plane, passes through the point. What is the value of g? Okay, so we have a point that's enough to find the one constant, right? It's just how many points, sorry, however many constants you need to find, however many constants you need to find is usually just how many points you need. In this case, I feel like we just put 24. Yeah, like t is just 24 here, right? Yeah, because that's like, this is the x-intercept. But anyways, we could just like regression as well. Because if you see points, you should automatically be thinking table regression. By the way, that's just a pattern. You want to be thinking these questions as patterns. Like, you notice I pretty much know how to solve a question the second I see it. Pretty much. Because that's how I'm able to solve questions really fast. At least hopefully like a lot faster than the average person watching this. Hopefully. So the reason why I'm able to do that is because I just recognize more patterns than you. Like, as soon as I see a question, I pretty much already know how to solve it. If I see a point, I see an equation, there's a constant in the equation. I already know, oh, table of regression. I don't even have to think almost. Like, it's just like a pattern. If you pulled apart my brain and did a brain scan of when I saw this question, you would just see, like, I didn't have to think. Like, there shouldn't be any thinking things in my brain that's lining up. It's just like a pattern I just see. It's like me seeing the color red. I just know it's red. Right? Like, it's not, I don't have to think at all. You should get to that level. And you can get to that level, by the way, by just like constantly trying to predict how to solve a question before you solve it. So look at a question, before you actually try going arms blazing, trying solving the question, try to predict how you're going to get the answer before you even try it. That's going to help you. Because it teaches your brain to recognize patterns. Like, you're trying to figure out how to solve the question before you solve it, that's just recognizing patterns. It gives you a feedback loop too. Because, I got the process wrong when I tried predicting, and then that helps you learn the process better. Okay, anyways. Enough talking. I'm wasting a lot of time, which is fine because it's the first module. But this is the equation. Yeah, t equals 24, just like I said. So then we can just plug in g0 and just see what happens. So how do we do that? We can duplicate this. You can't copy and paste on the SAT, but you can duplicate by going into the gears, the edit list mode, and then pressing duplicate, right? Okay, now let's just graph this equation. Let's call it g of x, actually. That way we can just type in g of 0, and it's going to give us the answer right away. So bam, g of 0, 336, 336. Cool, and we can, let's look at this graph, because we can, yeah. See, it has negative 14 and 24, okay. Cool. 336, yeah. Okay, the number of zebras in a population in 2018 was 127 times the number of, so when I see was, I automatically think equals, but it's like this equals that. That's like, this is a pattern, right? If this in this population is, okay. So let's just type this in. So I'm gonna say the zebras in 2018 is, Z sub 8, why not? 28, like zebras 2018 standing for 8. Let's do 18. Oh, why not? Okay, Z18, sure. That's for 2018. Okay, was, so equals. This is just a pattern. That's why I already know I have to do this, but you have to get used to it. 1.27 times the number of zebras in the population. So Z, I guess I'll just do times. Z sub 14. I'm doing sub by just like typing in typing in a number right after a letter. It automatically puts it as a subscript. Okay, now the comma, because we're starting a new equation. If the number of zebras in this population in 2014, so zebras in 2014 is, so equal sign, is p% of the number of zebras in 2018, so z of 2018. What is the value of p to the nearest whole number? So 70. That's a bit, that's weird. That's like that's scaring me. I'm gonna put 79, right? Because that's the answer. You round it to the nearest whole number. I can even type in round p. Wait, can I? No, I can't. Why is it not working? Oh, there you go. You round p. You have to put parentheses around it, apparently. But I tell you 79. Yeah, I didn't have to round. That's what's gonna do it for me. Okay, but that's a bit concerning that it's such a, like a, not even a close number. But it does say that you can round it, right? So, yeah, I hate when that happens. Okay, let me just double check. So was 1.27 times number? Yeah, and that makes sense. 1.27 times the number. It's not greater than or equal to. It's not greater than, right? It's just like times, yeah. And is p% of the number of. Yeah, watch my regression video if you don't know what I'm doing here. But this just makes sense to me. A lot of sense to me, actually. P%. What is 1 over 1.27? Yeah, okay, I found it 2 different ways, so I think that's the answer. Nice. Moving on. Okay. N is divided by the equation this. Wait, is defined by the equation this. Is shown. Okay, B not shown is the result of shifting this down 6 units. Down, so the y is shifted down. So minus. When if you shift it down, you add, right? Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna eliminate these two probably. These two are gone. If you shift, you can check it too, right? We'll check it in a bit. Shoot, I don't have time to check my work. Wow. Okay, I've been talking too much. Down 6 units, increasing the radius so that the radius is 2 times multiplied by 4. Okay, the answer is A. Okay, but you can graph it too, just to check. So let's graph it. Graph what we think is the answer. Squared, and you could graph all the answer choices too, and then check which one. So plus y plus, wait, yeah, y plus 6 quantity squared equals 4 times 9. Okay, so let's look at this circle and see how it compares. So we shift down 6 units, right? So originally the center was at the origin. Now the center is about at 6, right? Like you can check. Well, yeah, so it's at 6, right? Like that's where the y value of the center is. It's at 6. So we did move down 6 units, and the radius increased by 2 times. Let's check. So right now the radius is it's 12. It's 6, right? Because the diameter is 12, right? 0 to negative 12. So the distance of that is 12 divided by 2, which is the radius. That's 6. If the radius before was 4, 1, 2. Wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it was 3. Yeah, so sorry, not 4, 3. Right, so it increased by 2 times. Right now it went from 3 to 6. So it did increase by 2 times. So the answer is definitely, we double checked it. Cool. We already double checked pretty much every single answer. So yeah, let me just go through them and see like if there's a chance I missed something. But I checked a lot. There's very little I'm gonna get wrong here, I think. Actually, I shouldn't get anything wrong. X plus 14. 24. Yeah, like it happens to the best of us. We all make silly mistakes. You just have to be a machine and not make any though. 336. You can significantly reduce the chance you make a silly mistake though by adopting processes. Like just watch like what I've been doing, right? Like I pretty much consider every single way I can make a silly mistake and make sure I never make those. Like that's how I do it. This is from experience. I know like where I can make a silly mistake. I just make sure that I don't make silly mistakes there. And that's how I don't make silly mistakes. Because I just make sure it's impossible for me to make a silly mistake by making sure I don't make any silly mistakes. I don't make sense. Anywhere I can make a silly mistake, I don't make a silly mistake. There. So I just can't make a silly mistake. That's how it works. Unless I miss something, then I make a silly mistake, which is not that likely. Okay. I think I'm fine on that one. Positive, we got that 2 different ways. This is literally just adjacent over hypotenuse. Yeah, because that's what cosine means. 11 or 28. Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get questions wrong. So that is decreasing. This is the only one that's decreasing. It's less than 1. Yeah, so that's right too. Okay. It's just 228. Wait, sorry, I'm gonna check the previous one. 2280 divided by 36. It was 80. Yeah. Range 5 minus 9 is 4. Sorry, 9 minus 4. Or 9 minus 5 is 4. Yeah, that's 0 because that's just not equal. Yeah. Because I remember checking that multiple times. Where is... So if I divide that by 4 squared, that would be 16 again. Divided by 2, that would be 8. 6 times 8 does equal 48, so that's fine. Yeah. I don't think... Is that it? Like, do I need to check anything else? All of these... This just adds 7 to the other side. Everything else is the exact same. Yeah, okay. 9, that works. At random from all 400. Yeah. So 16 over 20. That's 80%, 40%. Yeah, that works perfectly. Unless I misread something. But it's question 5. There's no tricks that's gonna happen here. 7. Yeah. 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 And 16 meters per second, and there's 4 seconds. 16 times 4 equals 64. Yeah. Okay, I got everything right. Let's do module 2. Okay. Pull up the calculator again, because it disappears for some reason. Okay. Let's see, what is the hardest question in here? Okay. Okay, I see what you're putting down. It's pretty easy though. Okay. A manager is responsible for ordering supplies for a shaved ice cream. The shop's inventory starts with okay. Let's actually like focus. So ordering supplies, the inventory starts with this amount. The manager estimates that 70 cups are used each day. There's probably the slope distance between how many days would reach. Okay, so basically it starts with 4,500. It's like decreasing by this rate, 70 per x, so that's the slope. And we're trying to find like when it equals 1,700. The answer is going to be 40 days, because I just knew the equation for that. You could have done that other ways too, by just like subtracting 40 until you got to 1,700. Or I guess subtracting 70 from this number. How many times do you need to subtract it to get to? That would take a long time, but you could have done it as well. Or you could just... There's answer choices too. You could just plug and play. Okay, anyways. 62, which of the following could be... Okay, so this is interesting. So it's like could be, right? So 180 minus 63. That means the other ones has to be 116 or less. Yeah, the only one... Yeah, the other ones are all greater than 117. The only one's less than 117, because it has to be 117, it has to be 2 angles. I guess it's 1 degrees plus 116, that would work. Because all of them add up to 180. Let's just see. Yikes. Okay. So let's graph the inequality in question. And let's just see which one. So let's graph the point for, I guess answer was A, 219. That is inside. Cool. 430. That is inside. I think this is the answer probably. 61. That is inside. Which are the... And then let me make sure the other one. So 28 is probably not inside. Yeah, that's not... We are looking for inside, right? Which are the solutions? Yeah, so inside the shaded region. 213, that's not good enough. Yeah, so all the other ones are 1. It has to be A. Next, the other ones are 213, right? 213, 213. Yeah, okay. Next, for what value of x does... So you just graph it. F of x equals 9 over 7x plus 8 over 7. What is, so y equals 5, right? What is the value of x? 3. Cool. That's it. You could also do some fancy stuff and do like f of x1 tilde 5 and just have it solve for x with same answer 3. Okay. A portion of a flight, a small cruising speed varied between 150 miles per hour and 170. So it's like varying. Okay, which inequality represents the situation where s is the cruising speed? Oh, it's easy. It literally says it's between 150 and 170. You just pick the one that's between 150 and 170. Unless the units are different, which is not miles per hour, and s is miles per hour. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Because I put my head there. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, you can't see the entire question, huh? Yeah, you should try solving it before I solve it. So, okay. The graph models the number of active projects a company has worked on X months after the end of November 2012, which is predict the number of active projects has worked on at the end of 2012. So this is a 0, right? It starts at the end of 2012. So looking at end, so this is 5. Cool. Next is the y-intercept. Okay. In a linear function, there's 2 points, and we just need to find the equation. Classic. So 28 is the x value, 15 is the y value. This is the x value, it's the y value. Let's look at the -3, which is just 2 7ths, I think. So no, it's 7 halves. Yeah, that's what you call it. So it's this one. Okay, because it's greater than 1, right? Okay. Now solve this one. So shows the linear relationship between the number of cars C and the maximum number of trains Y. So which adds another. So we have 3 points this time. It's making it even easier for us. Now this might be a bit hard because it's standard form, so you're gonna have to like finesse it a bit. But it's the same thing, same deal. 174, 5. We even do 10, and 284, 559. Okay, so we have these 3 points. Let's not do that. Actually, let's do. Oh, all of them have. We'll put 55. Why not? Let's do x1 plus y. AY1. No, let's do BY1 because like AX plus BY, it doesn't matter. I'm a neat freak, I guess. I don't know. Call me what you want. So C equals -9 here, but it says B is -1. That works. So the answer is A, right? Because C is X, right? Yeah, C is the X values here. Yeah, so the answer is actually just A here because that everything checks out. Let's move on. Which of the following? I'm like double checking. I typed in everything, right? So 3, 1, 2. Yeah, okay. Next, which of the following is a solution? Okay. So let's just graph it as if it was x, because it's just a variable that way it actually graphs, and then we just look. So let's, I'm going to graph one of the middle ones, because usually these are like ascending with descending orders. If you choose one of the middle ones, you can just like, oh, it's too high, and you go to the other one. Oh, it's too low, and you go to the one below. And then that helps speed things up. So this is 2. So all these are positive, I'm assuming. This is, wait, we can just go to this 2 to go like, oh, so it's probably D, because it seems like those are too high, so you need to go to a lower one, plus 2 square root of 19. Yes, perfect. That matches. Yeah, answer is D. Cool. Next, which of the following? See, I saved time. I didn't have to check A. I knew I had to go to the lower direction, right? So I just picked the ones from the lower direction. What is the y coordinate of the y-intercept of this graph? So 3x7 equals negative 5y over... What's with this weird graph? Oh, I already mistyped. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, especially when there's no multiple choice questions, you have to be really careful. Because like, if you mistype, you're screwed. And if you mistype and you don't catch your mistype, you're screwed. But if you catch it, then it's great. Okay, what is the y coordinate of the y-intercept? 37.8. The fact that it's not a whole number like bugs me a lot because usually the answers are in whole numbers. So I'm almost thinking I got the question wrong, but the y coordinate of the y-intercept of this graph, and I typed in the graph. So if this isn't the answer, I don't know what is. Yeah, that's the answer. Okay. Oh, are you serious? Is this literally just okay? At least make it hard. You know, this is a bit annoying because you kind of have to. I'm gonna graph these actually. Let's look at these. So I don't even know how this works. How does this work? Okay, this might take some time though. Let's just graph B. I'm gonna guess. I'm guessing it's B. Let's try. It's 32. Right, negative 10x plus 4y equals negative 64. So those are the exact opposite directions of where we want to go. So we should probably pick, what if I transform this to be positive? So now that's in the right direction. What if I transform, I just realized I typed in 19, so that doesn't matter, it's still wrong, right? Okay. What if I transform this to negative? Ooh, okay, but that's intersecting too soon, or too late. It's supposed to intersect there or not there. Okay. Did I mistype anything though? I didn't. Okay, so it's not A or B actually. It's one of these. So let's try 4. I'm typing in an answer with C right now. So negative 10 y equals 32. No, that's wrong. Right? It has to be D. So it has to be D then. Let me just make absolute sure. Negative 8 x minus 10y equals, yeah, okay, and see that those intersect right at x equals 8 and y equals 0, and this intersects at x equals 8, y equals 0. Perfect. The y-intercept of this one is like 6 point something. Yeah, it's perfect. This one is 3.2, which is, yeah, it looks 3. Okay, perfect. That's the answer, D. Yeah, that one just took a bit of time to like graph everything, but it was easy. What is the another time-consuming thing? Actually, not. They're kind of the same. I'm just going to duplicate it. Okay, negative 4y plus 7 equals 117, and then we just duplicate this one and just retype it. Let me make sure there's no typos first. There's not. Okay. 4y plus 7. So instead, the only thing that changes is this becomes positive, and this becomes 442. Okay, so let's look at the intersection, or I guess like what x is at the intersection. And then we can, oh wow, they eat the same color? Oh yeah, because I duplicated it, right? Okay, so that's the answer. I guess that's what x equals. Now we can just do 6 times that number, but get rid of the y, and then do minus 2. Ooh, a nice number. I like when it's a nice number. That's definitely the right answer, I think. When x, yeah, sure. I'm like paranoid that I mistyped something, but it's literally a nice number. Like, what could go wrong here? There's no way I mistyped anything, right? And I literally typed in, yeah. Okay. Next, what is the minimum value? Good question. Let's just graph it. 48x plus 2304. Oh, sorry, not 28, 48. See, I always double check. I'm like mistype stuff a lot. Okay, we need to go to the thousands, huh? Okay, what is the minimum value? The minimum value is 1728. That's a really high minimum value, but nevertheless still a minimum value. I'm just talking to myself. I'm hearing things. Okay, so the slope is different. That means there's only one solution, but we graph it because we have obsessive compulsion disorder. Is that what it's called? OCD? Oops, I don't know. But yeah, there's one solution here, right? The black and the red, they intersect at one place, which is 0, but there's only one solution because they intersect only once. Okay. Cool. Oh, I've seen this question before somewhere. Okay, the value of this is 0. Okay, so let's first type in G. Like, I just immediately know how to solve this the second I saw it, which is crazy to me. I think I've seen this question before. Also, I've seen like patterns like this. I think I have a YouTube short or Instagram, like a TikTok or Instagram reel, whatever you call it, of this question as well. 7 minus W 0. It's gonna solve for W for us. That's how that works. What is this? Oh, wait, what is the sum of all possible values of W? Interesting. So we can't do that, huh? What we have to do is graph it. Because it's a sum of all values. So there's probably multiple values. Yeah, okay. There's only 2 values. Okay. The 2 values in question are 5 and 7, looks like. So 12. 5 plus 7 equals 12. Sum of all values of W is 12. See, like, if you did regression though, you wouldn't have got the answer, but you would have known you didn't get the answer because it says sum of all values, right? Sum of all possible values. So you can't really do that. But, like, Desmos can do the crazy function operations for you. So you don't have to think much. Just make sure you didn't mistype anything, which is what I'm doing. I did not mistype anything. And maybe there's a chance that I didn't scroll out enough and it's actually like a one missing thing way out there, so I'm gonna go to the thousands. Yeah, there's no way though, because these are all like small numbers. There's no way it's gonna go that far. Okay. Next, a grove has 6 rows and 5 rows. Each birch has a probability. Okay, this is like one of the hard probability questions I have to focus up. So, a grove has 6 rows of birch trees and 5 rows of maple trees. Okay, I'm picturing that in my head. I got it. Which each row of birch trees has 8 trees 20 feet or taller and 6 trees shorter than 20 feet. Okay, well, probability is target over total, by the way. Target over total. I hate how it doesn't let me. Does quotes work here? It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, but that's target. But then it says target because it does. Target over total. Okay. And each birch row has 8 trees 20 feet taller and 6 trees short. Each row of birch has 6 rows. Oh, so each. Okay, got it. So you get to multiply. Got it. Each row of maple trees has 9 and 7. Okay. A tree from one of these rows would be selected at random. What is the probability of selecting a maple tree given? So the given part is the total. So out of the bag, which bag are we choosing these from, basically? So out of the total amount we can choose from is given that the tree is 20 feet tall. So we have to get all the trees at 20 feet or taller. How do we do that? So let's get that. So 20 feet, 8 trees 20 feet or taller. So 6 times, so there's 6 rows, and each row has 8 trees that are 20 feet taller. So for birch trees, there's 48 trees 28 or taller. Oh, sorry, 20 feet or taller. And then for maple trees, 9 trees 20 feet taller, and there's 5 rows. So 5 times 9. So 45. So the total should be 48 plus 45. So 93, I guess. That's the total. Okay, what is the target? So the target of selecting the maple. So maple tree given. So and the target has to be inside the total. So the target is literally just 45. We can't do all maple trees. There's only the maple trees that are in this total, and the total just includes 20 feet taller. So it's only the maple trees 20 feet taller, which is really calculated as 45. So it's just 45 over 93. Which is simplified to C, I believe, right? 15, yeah, 15 for 31. Now I'm gonna come back to that one. Why not? Because I can always read. That was like kind of complicated, right? That's probably the hardest probability question you can get. So I'll come back. Probability questions are very easy. That's if you can solve that question, then you can solve every probability question that you're ever gonna see on the SAT. Okay. A rectangle is inscribed. Oh, inscribed shapes. Cool. Okay. So a rectangle is inscribed in a circle, such that vertex of the rectangle lies on the circumference of the circle. The diagonal of the rectangle is twice the side, the shorter side of the rectangle area. So immediately I'm thinking 30, 60, 90 triangle. The twice thing also makes me think of 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay. So let's draw a circle. And then there's a rectangle inside the circle. Right. Okay. And then we know the area is that number. And the diagonal is twice the length, so that's diagonal. So this is twice the length of the shortest side, right? 30, 60, 90 triangle. And the area of this is that. So what is this? This is going to be x times square root of 3. So we already know the area of the rectangle, the formula at least, right? X times x square root of 3 equals this number. And we need to find the diameter of the circle. Oh, so we just need to find diagonal. So we just need to find, so once we get x, we can just multiply by 2. That's easy. So what we do is just do this number equals x times x squared root of 3, because that's the formula for rectangle, is just base times length, or is height times, wait, base times, length times width, right? Whatever you call it, length times width. So length times width, that equals that. It's going to solve x for us. Once we get x, we multiply by 2. That's going to be the diagonal of the rectangle, as well as the diameter of the circle. Because for inscribed shapes, what you do is you look at the common length between the two shapes. And the common length in this case is the diagonal. It's like the circle and the rectangle both share this length, right? This is the diameter as well as the diagonal. Okay. So again, it was 1089 square root of 3 is equal to x times x square root of 3, because that's the formula. And then we solve for x for us. X is 33. Then we do 33 times 2, because that's the diagonal, which is also the diameter, and that's the answer is 66. Cool. Easy. Next. I love these questions. So right away, I already know I need to pause. So A is, so equals 2041. By the way, these are really common. The sum of B plus C. Cool. Okay. So like that's how I already knew I was going to do this. B is, so equals 83% of C. Bam. What percent of, it's not letting me expand it, that's annoying. Okay. What percent of B? So let's do what? So W stands for what? So what percent of B is A? Let's do A. So A. W is 4941. That's the answer. Next, or like the percentage, right? W, which is what we put. That's the what percent. So 4941. Okay. The system has no solutions. Okay, easy. You just graph them and then move the slider until there's no solutions. Y equals negative 5, 8 equals 4, 7, negative 7, 8, y. And by the way, it's not like, I think a lot of you doubt that like I was able to recognize it that fast, like recognize the pattern. I swear, like I might recognize the question because there's like so many of these patterns that I recognize it. I probably don't recognize the specific question, but I recognize like the pattern in general. But like I'm just able to recognize the pattern so fast that it almost appears that I just like already know what the question is gonna be, like before I even click next. Like I'm just able to recognize it that fast. It's just like how I don't have to think to recognize these, right? Okay, so you make a slider and you move P until they're parallel. So it looks like it's greater. That's too great. 15, 19, 20. I'm just seeing when they're parallel. Right now it's not. It's probably like 20. Is it 30? Oh wow, it's more than 30. 35? 30, 40? What am I doing? 50? 60? Oh, what am I doing? What? Okay. 60. This is a big number. 70. This is a bit daunting. 90? What's happening? Why is it such a... Oh. Okay, X. I was like, this is a bit weird. Like, usually it's not like a crazy number, right? Usually you can find it really easily. So I'm just like, why is it that's... Okay, yeah, it's because I mistyped. Oh, there we go. So wait, when you parallel, it's like P equals 3. Okay, 3 is too much, 4 is too much. 4 is like the T doing between 3 and 4, so let's do 3.5. And I think it's 3.5. Perfect. Yeah, 3.5. Okay. Next. 20. Okay. To be honest, I recognize this question. But also, like, they repeat this question a lot of times. I'm not even sure I remember this exact question. But it's just like, you see points. You see, like, it's a equation thing. Yeah, so you see points. You type in regression in the table. 3, 0, 5. Negative 9. Wait, what happened to the 5? Oh, okay, I put the 5 here. So we just do a custom regression. So it says right there, 3 values of x and f is a linear function. We know it's a linear function. What is a linear? well, at least the equation for linear function is this, right? So we know that's what the numerator is for this fraction, and we know what the denominator is, obviously x plus 3. So we already have the equation that these 3 points go through. So it's going to solve for m and b for us there. So we have f of x now, which is just slope of 4 minus f of 36. Excuse me. And then we can just type in, I guess, mx plus b. Look at the y-intercept, which is what it's asking for, which is 36. Bam. That's the answer. I just want to make sure that this is actually what's going through the 3 points. Maybe it's just like the linear thing. But why else would they mention this though? Okay, yeah, 3 values of the corresponding function g. Yeah, so this is g of x is what's going through these 3 points. So yeah, I did that correctly. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going for common mistakes people make for those questions. Okay, so a circle has center G and M, N, in one. Okay, so there's a circle, M and N lie on the circle. Line segments are tangent. So when I see tangent, I automatically think they form a right angle, right, with the radius of the circle. Okay, a tangent, respectively, the radius of the circle is 168. Okay, I already know like where exactly what this is doing because I'm familiar with the pattern. Wait, I don't need to go to the calculator though. Let's keep the calculator. Okay, so here's a circle, and basically there's going to be 2 lines tangent to it. Okay, well, let me. By the way, tangent just means it brushes the circle. Like it brushes it. And that's a pretty good circle, even though it's not. Okay, so it has center G. Let's just draw G. Right, G. And then points M and N. Let's just say this is M. Sure, this is M, and then this is N. Line segments M and H. Right, so that's M and MH. So this point right there, the intersection, is H, I think. H. Okay. So this is tangent. So basically, when it says to tangent, you automatically need to think that this forms a right angle. Like the radius and the line that's tangent to that point at the circle forms a right angle. So this is like a quadrilateral, and then maybe like this. You don't know this might not be a straight line, by the way, but we know this is right angle. We know the perimeter of this, so like this plus this plus this plus this is 3, 8, 5, 6. What is the distance, the diameter between G and H? So we need to find G, so we need to find this. Okay, so we know this is 90. Is there anything else we know? Oh yeah, radius is a good pair. Okay, 160. I knew I was missing something. It's 168. Okay, so basically we can probably do Pythagorean theorem because it's the right. We know this is the right triangle. This is the hypotenuse then, right? Because it's the one side directly across from the right angle. So we know this is the hypotenuse. We know the perimeter, so we can just divide this by 2 to get just this perimeter, right? Just like these 2 lengths, and we subtract 168 from that to just get this value, and then we can use this value and this value to get Pythagorean theorem to get this value. So let's just do that, right? So first of all, we divide this by 2 to get just like the 1/2 of it. This is the triangle, the legs of the triangle, right? So we subtract it by 168. Okay. So basically, we can do c squared, which is what we're trying to find, right? This is it's also in the reference sheet right there, the Pythagorean theorem. Oh, sure you can, right there. C squared equals a squared plus b squared, right? So a squared. It doesn't matter which one you use as a, which one you use as b. Let's say this is a plus b, which is I guess 16. Sure, that's b. Okay, 1768. Bam. Yeah. Anything else? Nothing else. Cool. We need to find distance between G and H, which literally was the, yeah, I remember that. That was from the center circle to the point of the intersection between the 2 line segments. Yeah, okay. That's that. Next. The function is defined by that crazy, I guess just like 3 constants, right? The graph passes through the point 70 and negative 70. If integer a is an integer greater than 1, which the following could be the value a plus 3. So we know 2 points on here. Let's graph those. 7. If you see points, you should automatically be thinking table regression, right? 2 points. By the way, you should like before. I already know how to solve this. That's why I'm solving it. Before you like do this, you should try to predict how to solve the question before you solve it. This is really important to help you like be able to solve these questions fast because you're able to recognize patterns the more you do this type of stuff. Now I'm gonna do a custom regression instead of like a because it's a standard quadratic equation question there, but I'm not gonna do that because it tells us what a is. I'm gonna like force a to be a number I want, right? I want to do that, so I'm typing it like this. I want to control over what a is basically. So I can make a slider for a like this, like say a equals like 2, for example, and I can make a slider for it. Also, this is supposed to be y1 anyways. So yeah, so basically we just make an equation, and we know a has to be something greater than 1, and we need to find what could be the value of a plus b. Okay, so let's type that in and just see what does this value equal. All right, so right when a is equal to 1, which it has to be greater than 1, right? So but let's just say a equals to 1, what is a plus b? A plus b equals 3. So we know that's 1 automatically, because like that's not the end. It has to be greater, a has to be greater than 1. So now let's do a equals 1.1, like right above 1. What does that equal? So that's a number less than, yeah, so it's a number, so it has to be this. Because basically, if you notice, we move any number greater than 1 always has to be less than -3. See, it's only getting less and less, right? That number is only getting less and less as we move the slider. So basically, it has to be a number less than -3. I can probably even like get -6 on purpose, maybe, right? Like -6. I can try. Let me try. Yeah, bam, right there, right there. So you see, we actually got a possible situation there. So when a equals 2 actually equals -6, bam, perfect. Yeah. We got everything. So this meets all the conditions, right? So here's the quadratic equation that fits this format: a x squared plus bx plus c. That goes through these 2 points, right? It goes through these 2 points, perfect. And a is an integer greater than 2. We look at what a plus b equals -6. That's the answer. Pretty straightforward. Okay. That's everything. We have 6-7 minutes. I said 6-7. Okay. Dang. I was like trying to. Okay. It got me at the end. Yeah, but we had like 7 minutes left around, which actually is below average. Interesting enough. I think I put a lot of emphasis on like checking my work though. So I think, why did I make this one for review? Oh, because it was the probability one. Okay, let's revisit this one. Why not? We have time. Yeah, during the test, don't be the guy that's like finishes the test and just relaxes and like shows off or something, like, which isn't even the case anymore because like you're gonna start the test at different times almost in your test room, so like they don't even know you're showing off. But like people would like to show off. They finish the test early. You're the one that like hands in the. You can't even hand in an exam early on the SATs. It's not like you can do it, but like they just lean back, they relax, and then if you just spent the extra 6 minutes and checking your work, you probably would have like caught a silly mistake and improved your score by like 20 points. But no, you were too busy showing off or like too busy being lazy. Like, oh, you just need to focus for like 5 more minutes. Just double check everything. Okay. Anyways, I'm saying that, but I'm not double checking right now. So let's do that. So, a groove has 6 rows of birch trees and 5 rows of maple trees. Each row of birch trees has 8 trees 20 feet. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with here. So probability of selecting the maple tree, given that the tree is 20 feet tall. So 20 feet taller, 8 times, and this is birch trees, right? Birch trees, yeah. So 8 times 6, it should just be, so there's a fraction. Denominator, which is the total, is 6 times 8. Wait, it's times, not plus. Times 8 plus 5 times 9. Yeah. And then maple trees, out of that, is just 5 times 9. 5 times 9, or 45. And there we go. We have a fraction that equals 15 over 31. So that's why we picked that. Yes, this is 20 feet, shorter than 20 feet shorter. Yeah, okay. That has to be right. Okay. Let's work our way from here. Why not? So manager is responsible for ordering supplies for a shape shop. The shapes starts with 4,500 paper cups and estimates that 70 of these cups are used each day. So what we can do is just do 4,500 times, I guess, minus 70 times 40 and see if we get, yeah, we got the answer. So the way you can check your work, by the way, is just like use the numbers and see if you get a number you expect from those numbers, if that makes sense. That's basically what I did. Just check your work. Because if you, like, there's more than one ways to check your work other than just like double checking or like trying to get the same answer 2 different ways. There's other ways to check your work too. Okay, so like 116 plus 1 plus 63. Oh, that's a possible combination to get to 180, right? So that's 4x. This one, I guess you could plug in like 2. That's a number less than Yeah, because 8 has a number less than 19. And plug in 4, that's a number less than 30 for sure. 6, that's a number less than 41. Yeah, so that works. Okay, and then 5. So 5 minus 8 over 7, and we take that divided by 7 over 9. We should. Oh, I messed up. What value of x? Huh? Oh, wait, you divide by 9 over 7, not... Or you multiply it by the reciprocal, not divide by... Okay, yeah, we got 3. Okay. This one, like, it's so easy that I'm, like, feeling I missed something. Did I miss anything? Right between... which inequality best represents... There's no way I missed anything. Yeah, I like read it really carefully. There's no way. Okay. What is the predicted number of active that was working at the end? And this is after the end of November. Yeah, so that's literally when x equals 0, what does the y equal? Which is just, I can see 5, right? Like, I'm not blind. Okay. There's no way it's not even possible to get this question wrong, right? Because I'm going to do this real quick, like in 2 seconds. Bam. 3.5, negative 3.5. Yeah, next. I don't think like checking this way is that efficient, because normally I should have more time at the end to check my work, but I'm just making excuses. Okay, 3, let's do x equals 3. What does y equal? Y equals, I'm just going to check like 1.2, 174. Okay, and then let's do x equals 5. Well, not 4. X equals 5. What does y equal? Y equals 2. Yeah, so there's 2 points. I think it's good enough. Which of the following is the solution? I'm just going to check. Let's check this one, because this one has a higher chance of it being wrong, maybe. But I literally typed it. There's no way, right? What is the y coordinate of the x-intercept? It's like when x equals 0, right? So when 0... equals negative 5, 9 plus 21, and 31, 21, do x1. Yeah, that's the answer. System of equations. I remember like quadruple checking that. Or like we typed in all the other ones, right? We quadruple, like I remember checking that very vigorously. And I checked this one. You can do like negative 1,000 to the... Here's another way you can find the minimum, by the way. Now we're running out of time to check out work. Yeah, this was a poor exercise in planning, because I don't even have time to... shoot. Let's do x1 equals 24. Yeah, we got the same answer. What is exactly 1? How many solutions? Yeah, 1. Shoot, we're running out of time. 12, I think that makes sense. Already checked that. Yeah. Oh well. Let's just hope. I was really careful. Let's see. Okay, predictions. I think I got a... So I got one question wrong for sure, because I really left it blank, right, in the reading writing. So I think I got that one wrong. That's a 1590. Hopefully I didn't get any math questions wrong. Like I swear, if I got a math question wrong, I'm gonna be upset. Okay, I don't have any. Like, it's just, there's no way. There's 0 chance. Okay, if I got a question wrong, the answer key's wrong, or I misread something. But worst case, okay. So I don't think I got any math questions wrong. Reading, writing, I think I got... I usually get like 2 more wrong, so I'm thinking 3 wrong. So I probably got a 1560 again. That's my guess. Let's see. Hopefully like actually a 1590. I'll be happy with a 1590. Okay, I guess I have to sign in. So I'll come back once I like sign in. Okay, drum roll. 1580. I got a math question wrong. You've got to be kidding me. How? Okay, reading, writing, I did amazing. How in the world did I get a math question wrong? You've gotta be kidding me. When I bleed 12? Huh? What did I do? There was a third one I missed? Wait, hold up. Hold up, I'm not buying this. What's happening here? That's so annoying. Yeah, I should have taken I should have spent all the if I had more time, I'm wondering if I would have cast. Let's see what the silly mistake is before I freak out. Maybe there's no way I mistyped because I definitely double checked. I scrolled out so much. There's no way I missed any. Did I misread something? I don't think I read it as like for this test. I didn't read as closely as I usually do. So I was thinking like if I got a question wrong, it's because I misread something, but probably not. G of 7 minus. That's like I never get a math. I do get math questions wrong. Like I even had I plan on interviewing that, but I had a student who got a perfect 1600 on the test on the November test, but it was a super score because he got a 1590. But he got like one math question wrong. He never gets math questions wrong. No one gets math questions wrong at 1600, at like 1590 level, right? But he got a math question wrong too, and then he got 800 English, 790 math, and then when he took it before, he got 800 math. So it was a super score, a perfect score, but like his high score was 1590. Anyways, yeah. So like even superhumans bleed. Like that guy is crazy. He has 1600, but like there's some things that we miss. What did I miss here? The value of G of 7. Like, I literally remember doing this question. I guess I didn't remember how to do it. So, yeah, you see, this is even if you remember how to do it, it's not. Well, even if you remember the question doesn't mean you know how to do it. What is the sum of all possible values of W? What is the sum of all? What? Well, all possible values of W. Oh. No way. Wait. Huh? The value? So it's just gone? It just doesn't appear. Wait, if I get rid of this. Oh. So this number doesn't appear when you do. I learned something new. That's crazy. Okay. For some reason, that point, even though it does go for like it beats 0, right? Like if I do this, this is supposed to show me every single time the value of x equals 0, which it literally does at this point, right? But it doesn't show me that for some reason. Huh. Yeah, that's not my. It is my fault. I should have known that. I should have. Yeah. Okay. So for questions that have to do with like multiple values, I think it's helpful to like double check, like also graph on two separate lines. Like you know how we do in number solutions, we like graph everything on the left side of the equal sign, everything on the right side of the equal sign, two separate lines on Desmos. You should do that too, because if you just do this, it's not good enough apparently. I think I knew that. I don't know. I don't remember like getting this question wrong before. So yeah, like on the actual test, I would have tried solving this with algebra, by the way, because I usually have a lot of time left because I talked a lot here. Like the first time I would just still make sure I don't make silly mistake, but I would go like really fast. I'll probably have like 15 minutes left plus, and I go for all the other questions and try to solve like all the Desmos questions with algebra. And I think I probably wouldn't have missed it. Yeah, this solving this with algebra is pretty easy because it's just, is it? Yeah, you just put the 7 in here and then you can like simplify it and then you can solve algebra. I think it's pretty easy. I think I would have done it. But now I know that, yeah, so when you're solving single variable equations and you're relying on the, like it graphing vertical lines for you because you plug in single variable equation and you're looking at vertical lines, it's always helpful to, especially if there's multiple, like you have to, your entire like answer depends on you finding all the possible values. It's good to make sure you actually see all the possible values and just like don't do equal 0. Like don't like put it, like if anything, put it on a separate line. Doesn't have to be equal 0. It could be equal like 5 or something. Put that number on a separate line on Desmos. That way you can actually see the intersections, right? Because like it's just showing you like the vertical lines doesn't show you the entire picture. Just like how no solutions, infinite solutions look the same. Things happen on Desmos. I swear this wasn't a problem before, because or else I would have remembered this. Like I usually have a really good memory, by the way. Yeah, I guess I just missed that. But yeah, so 5 plus 7 plus 13, that equals 25. So the answer should have been 25. Is for some reason it didn't show me this point when I graphed it on just one line. So I had to put graph on 2 separate lines to actually like see what's going on. That's much more helpful. Yeah. Well, now I know. I learned from my mistake. Now I know, right? Yeah, like at least I did at least going into the test with what I knew. Actually, I'll take that back. I don't think I did that good of a job. Because usually I would have enough time to like double check my work. I should have like paced myself for that. That's my bad for going slower and trying to like explain stuff. Yeah, that's my bad. But I like going to the test now. You know, like for now on, I won't make that mistake again. Like on the next test when I do practice at 7, I don't know when I do that, but when I do practice at 7, I'm not gonna I'm gonna make sure I have enough time to check all my work with algebra too. Yeah, because it's just helpful that way. Or you just have to learn all the ins and outs and all the ins and outs in algebra. Now I'm super proud of myself for reading and writing. I only got one question wrong. Yeah, this is beautiful, and it's the only question I got every question right that I did do. The only question I got wrong was the one that I ran out of time on, which is exactly like what I preach to my students. So this is perfect. And I would have guessed. I don't think I would have guessed D though. I would have guessed like C or something. So I would have got this question wrong. I'm gonna guess D from now on. So every single time I have to guess on a question, I'm gonna guess the letter D. At least for like one question. Because by the way, if you guess the same letter for every question, the SAT might clock it because they might think you're guessing. Because they actually do check the probability that you're guessing, and if they see like a pattern of you like guessing the same letter, they might clock that. So switch it up. But the next time I have to guess one answer, I'm gonna guess D every time, because this one was D. I don't know why. I'm just doing that. Okay, let's solve this question. Why not? And then we'll end the video. But 1580, I think that's the best I've done on these walkthroughs. No? Is it? I don't know. It's so sad that I got a math question wrong. Now I know how the guy feels. I don't know if I should say his name. I don't know. I'll do I plan on doing a YouTube video with him, so you'll know his name eventually. Stay tuned for that, like how he got a 1600. Pretty cool. He started from a 1270, I think. He got 1600. Anyways, let's solve this question. So, I feel like you guys should. Let me adjust the zoom so you can see the entire question. Pro tip: if you want to adjust the zoom, you press the 3 dots and then you like press the zoom, right? Okay, you didn't know that. Okay, so you can pause the video and try solving the question before I try solving it. Okay, let's solve this thing. Oh shoot! I saw the answer. It was D. That's gonna influence. That's gonna bias me. Oh well, I'll pretend I didn't see the answer. Okay, we're blind. Okay, we have short-term memory loss. Let's do this. So, in these colleagues studied a foresight in which some sugar maple trees received periodic fertilization. So not all fertilization, but like periodic, with nitrogen to mimic the broader trend of increasing. Oh, they're trying to predict how the anthropogenic nitrogen deposition, like they're trying to predict that, like what happens when you increase like that, probably from global warming or something. Okay, colleagues model the radial growth of the trees with and without this fertilization under 3 different climate scenarios. The current climate, moderate change, and extreme change. Okay, although they found that climate change I predicted it. Yeah, I literally said climate change, and it's perfect. Like, although they found that climate change would negatively affect growth, they concluded that this nitrogen could more than offset that effect, provided that change is so it actually helps them. So the extreme change actually helps them, provided that change is moderate. So only moderate change helps them. Okay, not an extreme. So I'm looking for on this graph. We're trying to describe data. It's trying to support. Okay, sometimes this weakens. You want to make sure. That's why I always read the question, even if I already know what it's asking. Actually, I don't know what it's asking, right? That's why I'm reading. I'm just checking if it's saying weaken with support. But even if I know it's like a command evidence question, I still check the question. It doesn't always say support. Okay, so moderate change only. So with nitrogen, without nitrogen. So in moderate change, it helps, right? Provided current. Wait, I'm confused how that like transfers. What? So without, so it helps, but it also helps here, right? What do you mean? Like the with nitrogen does help. Even here. Does it help more? Could more than offset the... Oh, I know what it means. Okay, I see. So so this gray bar for the moderate change is higher than this black bar. So that signifies that it would help. Like given the situation where, I don't know how to explain. This is complicated. Wow, I'm surprised I got that. Okay, but given a situation where there's like no nitrogen help at all, there's zero nitrogen help, and this is current climate, it's like right here, right? There's nothing. There's just current. There's no extra nitrogen. It's just right here. However, if there was climate change, like moderate climate change, I think, or whatever climate scenario, like climate change, right? If there's moderate climate change, and we put a bit of nitrogen, like moderate climate change, and we put nitrogen there, it would actually be improvement over there not being nitrogen. Like this would improve over that. So it's saying that even if there is climate change, as long as it's moderate climate change, we can actually like offset the effects of climate change by adding nitrogen or radial growth of nitrogen, right? So we can offset that. So that's like this is greater, right? The radial growth is higher than here, so that we can offset the negative effects of moderate climate change. Obviously, for extreme climate change, it's not going to help. Like, they could just go down. Like compared to when it's current, like it's not going to offset it because it's way below it, right? So nitrogen does help in all scenarios, but it's saying that like nitrogen would help enough to offset any moderate change in climate change. At least for moderate. I don't know if that made sense. I tried my best, okay? Rewatch that if that confused you, or I don't know. I tried. Okay. I don't want to make this video like way too long. It's already way too long because I'm doing an entire practice test, but yeah, okay. Growth with nitrogen under the current climate wait, what does that mean? Growth with nitrogen under the current climate exceeded growth with nitrogen under moderate change. Exceeded growth with nitrogen under... No, it didn't. Growth with nitrogen under the current climate. Yeah, it did. Yeah, but that's not what we're looking for. How this is greater than that. But the latter exceeded growth without nitrogen. But the latter exceeded growth. But like, why does that matter? It doesn't matter at all. But the latter exceeded growth without nitrogen. Under, yeah, that exceeded nitrogen. But that's not... It's just talking about how this is greater than that. That's why it's super helpful to come up with your own answer before you look at the answer choices, or else you're just going to get caught in the loop. If you don't understand what's happening, you're going to be completely stuck. So how you solve this is first understand this, understand the graph, come up with your own answer. We already have our own answer, like how this is greater than that bar, like this gray bar is greater than this black bar specifically. And we just need to look for that. This is why like table graph questions are actually pretty easy. This might take a long time because you have to like understand two different things to solve them. But usually these are pretty easy because like it's going to spell out the answer for you, very straightforward. Just like the previous table question on this module. Like I was already pretty... Was it this module or was it the... It might have been the first module actually. That one table question where I just got the answer immediately and I didn't have to like check the other answer choices. Like it's pretty obvious when... Yeah, anyways, okay. Growth without nitrogen under the current climate exceeded growth with nitrogen. So growth with nitrogen, right? Growth with nitrogen under the current climate. It doesn't matter. We're not looking at this anyways, but let's just check. Exceeded growth without nitrogen under moderate change. Yeah, that did happen. But why does that matter? But the latter exceeded growth under extreme change does not matter at all. Okay. No, it does matter to... I see. It does matter because it's saying like... Yeah, but this isn't greater than that. That's what it's saying. So this is greater than this, but this isn't greater than that. That's what we're looking for. Okay, but that's not what B is saying. Okay, growth with nitrogen under moderate change exceeds growth without nitrogen. No, that doesn't matter. We need to compare how growth with nitrogen under moderate change exceeds growth without nitrogen in the current climate. That's what we're looking for. So it's probably D, right? Growth with nitrogen on the moderate change exceed growth with nitrogen under the... Yeah, perfect. That's literally what I said. Perfect. Literally word for word what I said. I started, but you get the idea. Word for word. But the latter exceeded growth with nitrogen under extreme. Yeah, this exceeds that. Okay, that's perfect. It's D. Yeah. So given the time, I would have gotten this question right because I would have understood it. But I think I would have needed like a solid 3-ish minutes to understand it. So I'm glad I ran out of time on this one. This one's actually a hard one, right? Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions. I got a 1580, which is improvement. That's a huge improvement, right? Because practice test 6 is harder than practice test 5. And I improved. This is growth. And I got a higher score even. Might also be they didn't take off as many points as they would on practice 5 because it was harder. Maybe that also factors in. But I did better. Let's just not get math questions wrong. But the math question that I got wrong wasn't like I for some reason didn't know about that. Like that I didn't know about the nuance in Desmos. I've never seen that. I think it's a really rare time that for some reason it just doesn't show up on the graph. Super rare. And now I know. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't know that before. It's been like years since I did this test though, so that's why. But I swear I did that question for like a TikTok, like for YouTube Shorts. I guess I forgot. That was months ago still too, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I'm human too, but that's how I did. Hopefully this helped you, and I'll see you in the next video, I guess.